What's up? What's up? Hopefully everyone had a good 4th of July. We got the annual stockholder meeting tomorrow. So that's, I don't know if that's exciting or not, but might as well go through and talk about what we're voting on, and maybe I can make a video on it later. We'll see. So, yeah. 2026 annual meeting of stockholders to be held on July 7th, 2026, which is tomorrow. Letters stockholders. Dear fellow owners, at GameStop we view our stockholders as partners in the business. Over the last few years, our management team is focused on the basics, cutting waste, fortifying the balance sheet, and returning the company to profitability. Our CEO, Ryan Cohen, does not draw a salary, take a cash bonus, or receive time-vested stock. His financial interests are tied entirely to the value of GameStop shares he already owns. Board's proposing a 100% performance-based option award, which obviously isn't part of the vote anymore. They took it out because they got sued for it. Structure straightforward. Ryan receives nothing unless GameStop's market cap more than doubles, a sustained $20 billion, while the business simultaneously generates billions in actual cumulative earnings. If he does not clear those hurdles, the award is worthless. If he does, every stockholder benefits alongside him. Yeah. I don't know why they got rid of that, but whatever. I mean, they obviously to avoid the lawsuit and whatever, but is what it is. I feel like Ryan deserved that compensation award. We're also asking for your approval to increase our authorized share count. We view our equity as precious and do not intend to issue new shares lightly. A reserve of authorized shares ensures GameStop can act decisively when the right opportunity arises. Yeah, that's something we all should definitely be voting for. They should have the ability to issue shares. What's up, Derek? Break Nation. What's up, Break Nation? Hope you had a good 4th, my guy. What's up, Fishy Friends? So yeah, you're gonna be voting on. I mean, most of us have probably already voted, but elect 5 directors. Provide an advisory non-binding vote on the compensation of our named executive officers. Ratify the audit committee's appointment of KPMG. Approve the grant. Well, obviously that's not in it anymore. Approve the amendment number 2 to our 3rd amendment, amended and restated certificate of incorporation to increase the number of authorized shares of Class A common stock to 2.5 billion. And 6, transact such other business, if any, as may properly come before the annual meeting, and any postponement or adjournment of the annual meeting. So I guess that's nothing. Only stockholders of record and beneficial owners holding our shares as of the close of business on May 20th, 2026, the record date, are entitled to vote at the annual meeting, and any postponement or adjournment. Hopefully only shareholders who have held shares since May 20th can also access the annual meeting. Hopefully they make it a little restrictive. We request that you vote your shares as soon as possible by the following voting instruction, blah, blah. We designed the format of the annual meeting to ensure the stockholders are afforded the same rights and opportunities to participate as they would an in-person meeting, using online tools to ensure stockholders' access and participation. I wonder if GameStop will ever do an in-person meeting. That'd be pretty interesting. Turn it into like an event like the Berkshire meetings where they can sell stuff. That'd be something. That would be something. I never got my physical voting thing. Maybe it's because I already voted him online. I don't know. Orion? I haven't seen Orion in here before, I don't think. What's up, Orion? Boris? I don't think I've seen Boris in here before either. My opinion on Uber? I don't have an opinion on Uber. I haven't looked at that stock in months. Last time I looked at that stock, it was all-time highs. So I'm assuming, since you're asking about it, it's probably at all-time highs again, because that's the only time anyone talks about stocks is when they're at all-time highs. So if it's at all-time highs, it's definitely not interesting. It's like 20% off the highs. I'm not interested in that. I'm not even going to take the time to look into that. Don't even care. You want to know what stock I buy and what stock I care about? It's in the title of the video, or in the stream. Title of the stream. I don't care about any other business, any other stock. It's a waste of my time to research any other stock or any other business. Do I look at any software? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to take everything I own and buy 7, 10, expiration 40 contracts for GME this week. Well, you're going to lose all your money, so have fun with that. You have fun with that. You have fun losing all your money, my guy. Let's see. Where's the proposals? Oh, I'm not even on. Okay, there we go. I already have that. Let's at least have a fire with it. I mean, he's probably trolling, but if he's not, anyone who talks about buying options, I automatically just know they don't really understand trading, especially if you're going to buy an option that's like 50% out of the money. I can just automatically know you don't really understand trading and you're just going to get wrecked. But I don't know. They can do whatever they want. I don't really care at this point. If you want to lose all your money trading options, good for you. Go for it. I'm joking. I gave up on options, especially GME options. It's because the stock doesn't move. You can't make money on GameStop options. You can make money trading the shares, but nobody's made money trading options on GameStop in the past long time. maybe like a very tiny small percentage of people have made money on trading options on GameStop, but results may vary greatly, so it's probably not worth your time. You can make money selling cash secured puts. Okay, then you don't own the shares. You can make money selling calls. You can make money selling Pokemon. You can make money selling literally anything. So, I don't know. But what's up, Grady? What's up, Grady? You can also just hold the shares. Like, you can also just actually own something instead of trying to time the market, which nobody does well. I wonder if buying warrants is worth it. Probably not. Like, do you think you're gonna time the market? That would be my question. Like, do you think you're gonna time the market? Because if you don't think you can time the market, then options and warrants shouldn't even be like a conversation. If you think you can time the market, I mean, sure, do whatever you want, but like, I don't see that happening. So I only buy shares. I think I bought 100 warrants when they first came out, but I don't touch options. I don't touch the warrants. I if I wanted to trade, I would trade shares. Like, the whole point of GameStop, for me, the whole point of GameStop is to buy and hold the shares forever. So doing a short-term option trade or buying warrants, that doesn't do, that doesn't do anything for me personally. Cash secured puts, a win-win. Get assigned at a price I like. Great. Expire. Great. More money to buy shares with. I mean, not really. If it expires, that means the shares are higher. So sure, you have money to buy shares, but you missed out on the gains of the upside. So if you're selling a cash secure put for like $1 or $2 or $100, $200, 100 shares, whatever, if the stock goes up $1 or $2, you didn't make money. You broke even. So not really an accurate statement. If the stock barely is out of the money, like 10, 20, 30 cents, sure, you made the difference, but I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I'm not interested in making $100, $200 on cash secured puts. I'm interested in buying and holding the shares. So, but yeah, that's not a win-win. They call selling options picking up pennies on a train track. That's what they call selling options, because you make tiny amounts of money when literally one random day in the stock market could give you so much fucking value. It's insane. A random week, a random month could give you an insane amount of value. So like, I don't know. Sure, you can make money doing that stuff, but it's not optimal. Why is my cat meowing? Oh, you want outside, kitty? You want outside? What's my obsession with GameStop? I just invest in it, and I talk about it on YouTube. That's about it. I'm not a MOAS guy as far as I can tell. As long as Keith Gill stays off Twitter, I like my strat. I mean, this isn't... you can sell options on every stock in the market. Like, what I'm explaining is a general rule for every stock in the market. If you're selling options, that's literally what the industry calls selling options, is picking up pennies on a train track. This isn't GameStop related. This is a real thing institutional investors talk about, because selling options is a waste. You have to pay taxes every time you sell an option. So, like I said, you're making money, sure, but like, you're doing it, I don't know. I disagree. It's not about MOAS. It's not even about GameStop. If you sell a cash secured put on like Apple or something, I don't fucking know. Apple went up like 10% the other day. Or I don't know how much Apple is up. But Apple literally had a massive move the other day. Oh, it's been moving. So if you sold a cash secured put on Apple at $280, the stock is up $30. I bet the cash secured puts on Apple are like not even $1,000. So in this scenario, you sold a cash secured put to collect like, I don't know, let's look it up. Let's look it up. Does this... I don't really understand Apple's or Yahoo's option chain. It's kind of weird. Let me open the actual account. Like, this is just a general rule. This isn't something I'm just making up or is GameStop related. This is like, I don't know. Like, if you want to trade if you want to sell options, that's fine. Like, it's a way to make income, you know. It's there for a reason, but there's reasons why you don't do it. And I think Apple is a good example. I think Apple's a really good example. Damn, eBay's at 113. Oh yeah, did anyone ever see this on Chewy? Chewy bounced off of 17.4. It's kind of funny, you can't really see it. I don't know how well you can see it on the screen, but it literally bounced right off of 17.4. I thought that was funny. How do I... There we go. All right, so Apple. What? Do I not know Apple's ticker? Oh, it's AAPL, not AP. Yeah, okay. I'm just an idiot. All right. So let's see. I don't know. What would you sell your cash secured put on? A month? A month, probably. So if we go to, I don't know. I don't know if you would do at the right at the money. I guess let's look at the 275s. So the 275s when Apple was at 280, right? Um, 626. 626. All right. So when Apple was at 275, 280, around there, you were able to sell cash secured puts for, I don't know, $500 to $700. A monthly cash secured put was $500 to $700. That only covers you up to like 285, 290. The stock is at 312 right now. So you sold, like, in this scenario, you sold a cash secured put for $700 when you could have made like $3,000 just buying the shares. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, you know, that's just one example, but like I said, you can make money doing that stuff, but it's not optimal if you're looking at it through an investing lens. If you're just trying to scalp and just trying to make money every week or every month, sure, I mean, it's a good way to do it, but in that scenario, you fucked yourself. You traded $3,000 of profit for $500 just because you thought you were going to time the market and you thought you were smart. Like, I don't know. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. You can trade anything wrong enough. Apparently I just wasted my time talking about that. I'm trying to help you out and trying to like make you understand the market for what it is, but you keep selling your puts, my guy. When the stock goes up massive, which it probably won't, you know, it probably won't go up massive, but when it does, well, let me know how this cash secured puts worked out. Because cash secured puts on GameStop are garbage. They're like $100. Not even $100 for 100 shares. So you're not even getting any real value out of it. Pretty much any stock that's around like $20 is like $80 to $100 for a cash secured put. So it's just, to me, that's not worth it, because the stock can literally go up $1 or $2 in one day. It hasn't. You know, the past 2 years hasn't done shit, so selling options has probably worked, but I just I wouldn't get comfortable timing the market, because the market always humbles. Tends to always humble everyone who thinks they're smarter than the market. It's humbled me a few times. It could still humble me. Hasn't yet, but it could. Let's see. Yeah, there's the biographies. What else do I need to put in here? Board of Limited Compensation 2024. And realistically, we shouldn't even call it trading. Let's call it what it actually is, and it's gambling on short-term price action. I don't even think we should call it trading. We should call it what it actually is. What is this? Any stockholder is entitled to directly nominate one or more candidates for election of the board. Our bylaws include a proxy access provision, which allows a stockholder or a group of up to 25 stockholders owning 3% or more of outstanding common stock continuously for at least 3 years to nominate and include in our proxy materials director nominees consisting of up to 2 individuals or 25% of the board, which is greater, provided that stockholders and the nominees satisfy the requirements specified in Article 3 of the bylaws. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever read through this, actually. I think I skimmed through it, maybe. Or maybe I did. I don't remember if I read through this or not. You never see me trade options. Trust me, bro. I mean, I've traded a bunch of options. I've probably traded more options than anyone. So, like, I definitely know what I'm talking about. But the funny thing about the stock market is results vary, you know? And selling options statistically is the easiest way to make money in the market, but like I said, it's the Apple example is the perfect reason why it's a waste of time to even do it. I could probably find like 100 other stocks exactly like that, but I'm not going to. All I'm saying is if you think you can time, like, what it comes down to is if you think you can time the market, I'd rather make $3,000 than $500 or 700, whatever. No RSUs. Let's see. Oh, I haven't read this. Mr. Morris serves principal financial officer, a role he's had since March 2024, and is company's principal accounting officer. a role he has had since August 2023. Prior to being appointed Principal Financial and Accounting Officer, Mr. Moore served in the following roles since joining the company in July 21. Interim Principal Financial Officer, Vice President, Corporate Global Controller, and Vice President Global Tax. Prior to joining the company in 2021, Mr. Moore served as Vice President Tax at Elevate Textiles and Director of International Tax at Roper Technologies. Overall, Mr. Moore has more than 20 years' experience in finance, accounting, and tax. What's up, Moose? Hope you had a good weekend, Moose. Hopefully the golfing was nice. How was the 4th? It was alright. On the 4th, they like banned fireworks where I live because there's so many fires. So no fireworks, but ate some. My uncle made breakfast for dinner, so I ate breakfast for dinner. And then yesterday I went to my aunt's house, and she has a swimming pool, and we did some barbecuing. I didn't swim, but ate some food. I ate a lot of food, actually. Mark Robinson. Mr. Robinson serves as General Counsel and Secretary, a role he has had since January 2022. Since joining the company in August 2015, Mr. Robinson has served in the following roles: General Manager, Vice President, Assistant General Counsel, and Senior Counsel. In his current role, he oversees the legal and human resources functions of the company. Prior to joining the company in 2015, Mr. Robinson held positions as an attorney at law firms Norton, Rose, Fulbright, and Jones Day, where he provided counsel on corporate and finance transactions. Breakfast for dinner is underrated. It was good. It was good. I like breakfast for dinner. But yeah, I'm not. I guess on Friday I went to a lake and went fishing, but I didn't catch anything. So that was okay, I guess. Not a very eventful week, but I did more than I usually do. Usually I'm just sitting at home doing nothing. Trip was sweet. We backed onto the golf course, so once it was late, we snuck on and played a few holes in our flip-flops. Backed onto the golf course? Did you stare in like a Airbnb or something? Where's Prop 2? Just like a rental condo. For some reason, I was like thinking you were like camping on the golf course. I was like, what? Just pull up the truck on the golf course, can get the grill out. I don't know why that's like the first thing that came to my mind, but then I was like, oh, he's probably in Airbnb or some shit. That'd be awesome. You're just using your truck as the golf cart. Just whipping it. Where's proposal 2? Oh, it's right here. Hiding in a tent in the trees on 14, yeah, exactly. You're just taking people's balls. You just see someone's ball land, you just take it. Alright, enough of this for a second. I want to see if there's like any news or something. I know there's been a lot of news on the Sony thing. Microsoft cuts 4,800 jobs as Xbox unit downsizes and plans to spin off 4 gaming studios. A lot of news in the gaming world. That's kind of interesting. SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell to donate stock to Trump accounts. What? I don't even want SpaceX if they're gonna give it for free. I'd be like, sorry, son, I'm not getting you the Trump account because I don't want you to hold SpaceX. It's garbage. Should have bought it when it was private. Gwynne Shotwell announced she would donate to Trump accounts program on Monday, joining a growing list of companies and billionaires pledging to support the investment accounts of American children under 18. Whose shares of Shotwell's and her husband's SpaceX stock will go to around 2 million Trump accounts, with a bit more emphasis on children who live close to their home in Central Texas. Oh, it's a fucking pick-me thing. It's $2.4 billion stake. Intel, Robinhood, and Micron have thrown in their own investments, offering to match the government's $1,000 contribution for certain eligible children of their employees. Huh. Interesting. I wasn't even going to stream today. There's really nothing to talk about. I forgot the shareholder meeting tomorrow. That's the only reason I started the stream, really. But obviously nobody cares. You know, there's not very many people here. So, it is what it is. What time's the meeting tomorrow? It's super early. It's like 10 a.m. Central Daytime, so it's like 7 a.m. my time. And I think you can get in the queue at like 6:30. So I'm going to be up early tomorrow, I think, maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll completely miss the annual meeting. I don't fucking know, dude. But yeah, it starts way early. I'll stream you on my drive-in if you wake up. Yeah, we'll see. That's pretty early. I mean, I wake up at that time, but that's like literally the time I wake up, so I'll just be like straight from bed to stream. If I do end up getting on, but honestly, you're not going to miss anything. It's not going to be anything special about it, I don't think. Sure, I'll get a bunch of Redditors in my stream who are really annoying, so it's not really beneficial for me to actually stream it, I don't think. Gotta try to get 500 likes again. Nah, I'm not. Honestly, I've said it once before and I'll say it again. I'm not trying to do anything with this stream ever again. Like, if people want to watch the stream, they can watch it. If they don't, that's fine. But I'm not trying to get views. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just, realistically, the only reason I'm doing this stream still is because there's people out there who've put in a lot of time watching this stream, and I kind of like the journal aspect for myself. But as far as getting new viewers and begging for likes and shit, I don't give a fuck, dude. I literally don't care. The only time there's that many people in here is when nobody else is streaming and a bunch of Redditors come in here, and I don't care about those people, bro. I care about the people who've been watching my stream for the past year or two, and that's about it. And like I said, the journal aspect, maybe in like 10, 20 years, I'll want to look back at this and like, oh, that was pretty cool. But if it wasn't for those two things, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. I literally don't care. It's a waste of my fucking time. Making $1 a stream or $1 a video. It's a waste of my time. PlayStation's X and Instagram accounts have been inactive since delivering the news last Wednesday. For context, the company usually posts multiple times a day with links to trailers, sales, and more. You know, corporate social media stuff. PlayStation Malign Post has 150 million views and thousands of negative comments. I've been following you since 2002. I've literally never seen you in this chat before until today. So, I don't know. But it's exactly my point. it's a waste of my time to stream for people who just think they're funny when they're not. They don't bring any value to the stream. They don't bring any conversation or anything. It's a waste of my time. That's pretty much what this stream is now. There's like 5, maybe 10 people who still consistently watch the stream, and then the rest of it is just like trolls and weirdos. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully GameStop stock just starts going up at some point. You know, once it starts reaching like $25, $30, $40. I mean, we'll see what happens to the stream by that point, but once it starts going up, I'll probably be done. Because then there's nothing really to talk about. Like, who cares at that point? The only reason it's fun to talk about it now is because the stock's down and it's not interesting. Nobody cares about it. But once it starts going up and everyone starts FOMOing in and caring about it again, that's not going to be fun. There's, like, who cares? Who cares at that point, honestly? Let's see. In response to the move, over 125,000 consumers have signed a petition urging the company to reconsider a disc is a real game you own. You can lend it, trade it, resell it, gift it, collect it, or pass it down to your kids. A box with only a download code is not the same thing. It's a digital license in a plastic package. You do not own it. You're renting access that can be revoked. Last month, PlayStation removed over 500 movies from PSN accounts. Yep. PSN policy that allows the company to delete users' accounts after 36 months of inactivity, revoking access to their purchased digital library. Oh, that's wild. Dawning realization that users don't own digital games has led to a surging interest in piracy, just as hackers have found a way to jailbreak the PS5. Searchers for the term PS5 jailbreak are up on Google. Game industry veterans have been similarly despondent. Legendary Metal Gear creator Hideo Kojima brought up Sony's decision at a film festival in Italy, pointing out how it's frightening that publishers now have so much control over what games we access. According to the translation of Kojima's comments, he said, "I grew up with physical media, so I find it sad. While streaming subscription services like Netflix or Amazon, there's a server somewhere and you essentially just have the right to turn the tap, and when you do, the data flows out. There are companies that own these servers and let you turn the tap for a monthly fee. However, with nations, politics, and various ways of thinking, one naturally has to consider the possibility that if there is a change, the data inside will stop being distributed, and if that happens, you won't be able to watch or play the movies and games you like. is what's frightening. Let's see. Since production is ending in 2028, this is about video games, but I grew up with physical media, so it's sad. Currently, I've been buying up a lot of Blu-rays, such as various movies and CDs too. Situation is different for games, as they are downloaded to the hard drive. That means the game data remains on your own hardware. However, if things shift to streaming in the future, that won't be the case anymore. Oh, okay, so they just left a little bit out of that. A 2021 tweet by Kojima saying, eventually, even digital data will no longer be owned by individuals on their own initiative. Whether there's a major change or accident in the world, in a country, in a government, in an idea, in a trend, access to it may be suddenly cut off. An increasing number of my friends have been sailing the high seas recently. That's pretty cool. What is it like? They're going on like fishing expeditions or what? Numerous game companies associated with physical releases, like Atari, Silver Lining Interactive, Lost and Colt, Limited Run Games, and Strictly Limited condemned the move. We are profoundly disappointed by Sony's decision to suspend physical game production in 2028. Sensing the low-hanging fruit, a long list of brands began dogging on Sony to score points with consumers. Domino's, GitHub, KFC, and many others turned the PlayStation post into a meme, announcing the switch to digital-only wings and so on. I didn't get to see those. I saw the Domino's one, I think. I didn't see the KFC one, though. We heard you and we agree. In the light of recent developments in physical media, GitHub is proud to announce that you can now obtain your public repo on CD-ROM. Keep it, lend it friends, pass it to children. Your code is physically yours forever until you lose it. What the hell is GitHub? I don't even know what the hell that is. I've heard of it, but I don't actually know what it is. Oh, AI pair programmer. Some AI shit. Okay. Well, that more store closures. A couple extra. Where was there it is. Meanwhile, French politician Jean-Luc Mélenchon sounded off an announcement criticizing the notion of companies selling digital media that can be revoked. He promised to open an investigation into the matter next year. Players have rights too. It's hard to know if Sony expected such massive pushback to its decision. Part of its rationale for killing physical disc releases on its platform is that a majority of players purchase games digitally at this point, with some analysts indicating that physical games only account for around 20% of sales on PlayStation. I feel like 20% is still quite a bit, is it not? I feel like that's still quite a bit. You're just going to eliminate 20% of your audience, basically? Like, that's wild. Let's see. While physical game releases are already an imperfect form of preservation, as most new releases receive expansive day one patches that instantly render what's included on a disc obsolete, it's clear that many players still want to have the option to buy a disc over a digital license that can be revoked on a whim. We'll find out soon whether PlayStation's silence means it's reconsidering its position, or if it's just trying to lie low until things blow over. I'll be surprised if they walk it back. I'm sure this has been planned for a while. Halo multiplayer canceled. Rip. What's the Xbox thing? Where was that? Xbox's planned cutbacks. 3,200 employees will be laid off, and at least 4 studios are being affected, including Double Fine Productions and Ninja Theory. Of the 3,200 employees that are being laid off throughout Microsoft's 2027 fiscal year, 1,600 are being affected today. Sharma calls the cuts most significant restructure in Xbox's history. 4 studios, leaving Xbox to new management, were all parts of Microsoft's studio spending spree in 2018 to 2019. When the company purchased 7 independent studios, 4 of those are leaving the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, and a 5th is under review. Here's what we know. I'm glad you didn't quit. Keep bringing the GameStop content. We're here to support you every step of the way. Let's go. And appreciate it, Zone. Appreciate it, man. Boris, are you going to bring anything of value to the stream, or are you just going to continue to type nothing in the stream? Because I will ban you. Don't think I won't. I will ban you forever, or at least for a few months. It's very rare. I mean, I haven't really banned anyone forever, but I will ban you. AA Ron. What's up, AA Ron? Why? Because you're bringing no value to the chat? Like gaming is over? What kind of stupid fucking comment is that? Gaming is over. Okay. I will ban you for just bringing no value. Simple as that. Bring some value. Bring something that I can actually like elaborate on, or something we can actually talk about. Speaking the truth? No, you're not. So here, we'll do a 24-hour ban for now, but next time I'll ban you forever, because you're just talking shit. You're not speaking any truth. You're not bringing any value or anything. You're just talking shit in my chat, and you're in the wrong place for that. Nobody here cares what you have to say if you're not bringing any conversation or any value. Nobody cares. Barcodes! Throwing tomatoes at Boris. You should throw tomatoes at him. Rotten tomatoes, to be exact. Alright. Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions will return to management and transition to independent studios with their IP catalog and run away for their next games. Microsoft acquired Contrast developer Compulsion Games in 2018. While the studio was working on We Happy Few for publisher Gearbox Publishing. As part of Xbox Game Studios, Compulsion released 1 game, South of Midnight, in 2025. Double Fine was acquired by Microsoft in 2019. The studio, founded by game designer Tim Schafer, is known for its work on quirky and stylish games like Psychonauts, Brutal Legends, and Headlander, and most recently the games Kiln and Keeper. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are being sold. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered terms to join new ownership with funding to complete and grow Senya, The State of Decay 3. Sharma said, Microsoft did not announce who might be buying Ninja Theory and Undead Labs, but continued funding for the studio's recently revealed projects is good news for anyone looking forward to the new Hellblade and State of Decay sequels. Microsoft acquired Ninja Theory in 2018, when the studio was best known for its work on Hellblade, Sunya's Sacrifice, Devil May Cry, Enslaved Odyssey, and Heavenly Sword. Under Xbox Game Studios ownership, Ninja Theory released Bleeding Edge and Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. Undead Labs was also acquired by Microsoft in 2018 and is known for its open world zombie survival game series State of Decay. What's my biggest old man yells at sky opinion? I have no clue what you're asking. What does that even mean? Old man yells at sky? I don't really know what you're asking, but it's probably when I talk about anything that involves the stock market. I don't know exactly what you're asking, but whenever I talk to anyone about the stock market or anything, I feel like I'm just talking to nobody. So I don't know if that's what you're trying to reference, but I was expecting this to be water. I forgot it was a liquid IV. Like I have a pretty funny example. I was talking to someone recently about the stock market, and I forgot what I was gonna say, but I don't remember exactly what I was gonna say. But basically, what it came down to was they wouldn't start investing because they thought they think for some reason that they need like $100,000 to start investing in the stock market, when in reality, like, you should just be saving like a couple $100 a month or doing whatever you can instead of just waiting like, oh, when I have $100,000 I'm gonna start investing. Because like, in reality, if you just put in $100,000 the second you get it, you're most likely gonna be down on your investment for a while unless you just get lucky. So like, it just doesn't really make sense to just YOLO all in the second you have money, because you're gonna lose a bunch of money and then you're gonna be like, oh, the stock market's trash, and then you're gonna sell for a loss and then you're never gonna invest in it again. So it's kind of, I don't know, just in general, I think anytime I talk about the stock market to anyone, it's just, it's a waste of breath. So like I said, I don't know if that's actually what you're asking or not, but that's probably the biggest thing. You can't explain things to people who already think they know everything. And when it comes to making money, for some reason, people think they know everything. I don't know why. It's pretty interesting. Echo, what's up, Echo? Gaming isn't over, it's changing. For the past several years, it's been changing in direction that's pushed GameStop into other areas. Maybe this change leads to something new for GME. Yeah, exactly. It's changing. Literally, that's a, couldn't say it better. It's changing. Just like everything in this world. Everything's changing, it seems. But like, saying gaming is over is crazy. Like, what? You think people are just gonna stop playing video games? Definitely not. My biggest old man yells at cloud opinion is that ketchup is only for children. What? How is that? What's wrong with ketchup? You don't make like, oh yeah, that's a Utah thing. You don't make fry sauce? You need ketchup for fry sauce. Returning your shopping cart should be a capital offense. Well, that one's leaving your shopping cart out is like littering, in a way. You ever watch cart? Have you ever watched Cart Narcs? That's not where the carts go. The cart returns right over there. That's not where the carts go. The cart returns right over there. Okay, so Lion France-based Arcane Studios, part of Microsoft-owned ZeniMax Media, is beginning required consultation with its Works Council to review potential strategic options. According to Sharma, effectively, Arcane's employees' representation is addressing whatever unannounced strategic moves Microsoft plans to do with the studio, which could mean selling it off, closing it, or laying off employees. Arcane Studios was acquired by ZeniMax in 2010. Studio is known for its work on the Dishonored series, Deathloop, and the upcoming Blade game based on Marvel's vampiric superhero. Dishonored was a good game. I liked that game when it came out. I lived Carton Arcs, don't need to watch. Sharma said that reductions across Microsoft-owned companies, including Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard, King, and Mojang, are also planned. That includes shifting investment to focus on higher priority projects, which likely means game cancelizations. Cancelizations? What the fuck am I trying to say, dude? I don't even know how to talk. That said, none of our first-party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled as part of these reductions. Also, as part of Xbox's reset, Mojang and King will now report directly to Sharma. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are our largest by monthly active players, she said. They bring critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. Okay. Your favorite Pokemon has an official soccer team? What? Pokemon is partnered with the J-League, the organization behind Japan's top 3 soccer leagues, to assign all 60 clubs a mascot Pokemon. Okay. I wonder how long the Pokemon hype is going to go on for. Like, do you think, like, a couple years from now, like, nobody's going to give a singular fuck about Pokemon? Because realistically, the only reason people care about Pokemon right now is because the prices keep going up. And it's easy to make money. But when that stops, if that stops, you think people are really going to care about Pokemon anymore? I mean, there's always going to be a group of people who care about it, but when you can't just go to Target and make, $50 to $100 flipping a box, do you think people are going to care about it? I don't. We'll see though. Maybe it never stops. Maybe Pokemon's just forever hype. Oh yeah, this is the other article I wanted to read. They need a Pokemon game where it requires physical cards to build a deck online and you can play digitally. That'd be kind of interesting. That would build life back into it. They'd have to, like, put a code on the cards, though. You'd have to, like, scan the cards into the game. I mean, they already pretty much do that. Like, every pack you open a Pokemon, you get a little card that you can scan on TCG Live, and it gives you a pack on TCG Live. So they've pretty much already done that. It's just not individual cards. But I don't think they would ever do that. Let's see. Nintendo president responds to Pokemon trading card game's awful scalping problem. Unfortunately, Nintendo is still placing the responsibility to fix it on the Pokemon company. It'd be another incentive to grade cards, like you said. Yeah, but that it would have to come direct from the Pokemon company. Like, you would have to have a code on the Pokemon card. Like, if a graded company did something like that, it would be, PSA's version of the Pokemon game, or whatever grading company decided to do that. But legally, I don't think that would work. But if, Pokemon put a little code on every card or something, sure, I think it would work. But like I said, they already do that. Well, it's not, a card on, or a code on every card, but you have the card, or the code card that you get in every pack. So you might not get the same cards that you got in the physical pack, but you still get a chance. So in a way, it already exists, but it's not. It does, yeah. It already exists, but not in the way you're describing it. And also, a lot of like the rare cards that people want aren't cards people use in the TCG game, from what it seems like. And a lot of cards get banned as well. Like the deck I made, a lot of the cards are banned now. They're always banning cards in the TCG game. So like, one minute you'll have a deck that's good and you like it, but then like 5 to 10 cards get banned from it. So it's like, it's always changing. It's always changing. Did you ever play the old school Monster Rancher games? Monster Rancher? Like what? I don't think I know what you're referencing. Monster Rancher games? Like what game? Where you input a CD into your console and it would generate a monster? No, I never played that. There used to be this like a Tamagotchi type thing. You had like the little handheld thing and you could scan barcodes at the store, and then it would like, you would generate a monster you could battle and then like capture. God, weren't they just called scanners or something like that? What were those called? Scanners. God, what were those called? Scanners monsters. Is it this? Yeah, scanners. They spell it weird. This thing. That's $200. How come I don't have my scanner anymore, bro? Holy. $200 for a scanner? I remember this, but what you're talking about, I don't know what you're talking about. Player scans a barcode containing a rival tribe's monster. A battle would be initiated. Yeah, these were cool. Scanners. Similar to that, in this case, you would input physical CDs in the console and get a monster. Look up Monster Rancher in PS1. All right, I'll look it up in a second. I need to go to the bathroom first. It's only one. Alright, Monster Rancher. I've never seen this. My husband is driving right now and he's in your live stream and he said that you will read the Bible every once in a while. Can you do that now? I think I could do that. I think I could read some Bible. Raw Sunshine Living. I'm looking at your YouTube channel. Yeah, you make some good food. All right, since you make such delicious food, I got you. I got you. Right now we're looking up Monster Rancher 1. No, I've never seen this game. When did it come out? 1997. Yeah, I was 4 years old when this game came out. I was 4 years old, bro. So, I did play a decent amount of PlayStation 1 though. The game I remember playing the most was a golfing game. It's called like Cyber Tiger or something like that. Yeah, Cyber Tiger, bro. This game was fire. This was like one of the best golfing games, I swear. Cyber Tiger was so good. And I used to play Final Fantasy VII a lot, and that Dragoons game. What is that one called? Legends of Dragoon or something? Yeah, Legends of Dragoon. That game was sick. But Raw Sunshine Living wants a Bible, a Bible reading. So I don't know what verse do you want, or what story? What do you want? What are you specifically looking for? How come King James? Is this the one I usually read? King James? I think so. I mean, I usually read Matthew, but I read that all the time. He says Romans. All right. Your wish is my, or wait, I forgot the your wish is my command. I think that's how you say it. Where is it? Romans. I can't see it. Romans. There it is. There she blows. Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Here we go. Here we go, chat. Here we go. Shout out to Raw Sunshine Living. I don't know if anyone's ever randomly came in here and been like, will you read the Bible? I don't know if anyone's ever done that. Usually I just read it so people will leave. So shout out to Raw Sunshine and her husband. I don't know who her husband is, but shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. All right. I don't know if I've ever read Romans. We'll see. We'll see. I don't remember. It's been a while. All right. Romans 1. Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separate unto the gospel of God, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the holy scriptures, concerning his Son Jesus Christ our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of God with no with power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all nations, for his name, among whom are ye also called of Jesus Christ, to all that be in Rome, beloved of God, called to be the saints, grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I think I need a New Living Translation here. Where is it? It's either New King James. I think it's New Living Translation, yeah. This one's a little a little bit easier to read. There's not as many yays and woes and like old English style verbiage. All right. So God's good news. Let me say first that I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith in him is being talked about all over the world. God knows how often I pray for you. Day and night I bring you and your needs in prayer to God, whom I serve with all my heart by spreading the good news about his Son. One of the things I always pray for is the opportunity, God willing, to come at last to see you. For I long to visit you so I can bring you some spiritual gift that will help you grow strong in the Lord. When we get together, I want to encourage you in your faith, but I also want to be encouraged by yours. Damn, that's a fire. When we get together, I want to encourage you in your faith, but I also want to be encouraged by yours. That's heat right there. That's heat. I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, that I planned many times to visit you, but I was prevented until now. I want to work among you and see spiritual fruit, just as I have seen among other Gentiles. For I have a great sense of obligation to people in both the civilized world and the rest of the world, to the educated and uneducated alike. So I am eager to come to you in Rome, too, to preach the good news. For I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, the Jew first, and also the Gentile. This good news tells us how God makes us right in his sight. This is accomplished from start to finish by faith. As the scriptures say, it is through faith that a righteous person has life. God's anger is sin. But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about God because he has made it obvious to them. Forever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power, and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. Yes, they knew God, but they wouldn't worship him as God or even give him thanks, and they began to think up foolish ideas of what God was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools, and instead of worshiping the glorious, ever-living God, they worshipped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. So God abandoned them to do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies. They traded the truth about God for a lie, so they worshipped and served the things God created instead of the Creator himself, who is worthy of eternal praise. Amen. Dude, that's whoa. Can we read that again? Yes, they knew God, but they wouldn't worship him as God or even give him thanks. And they began to think up foolish ideas of what God was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. And instead of worshiping the glorious, ever-living God, they worshipped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. So God abandoned them to do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies. They traded the truth about God for a lie, so they worshipped and served the things God created instead of the Creator himself, who is worthy of eternal praise. Amen. Dude, that's fire right there. That's fire. Bless our portfolios and deliver us from Weeble. Glad I made it back for the Bible. Amen. Amen. Shout out Raw Sunshine. Very, very random that someone came in here and actually wanted me to read the Bible, but I appreciate it. That is why God abandoned them to their shameful desires. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex and instead indulged in sex with each other. Did you do that? That's insane. That's wild. That's a wild verse to have in the Bible, bro. That's that's crazy. That's crazy how relevant that is today. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex and instead indulged in sex with each other. Like that's in the Bible. Dude, I have never read this verse. I can't believe that's in here. I can't believe that's in here, bro. And the men, instead of having normal sexual relations with women, burned with lust for each other. Men did shameful things with other men, and as a result of this sin, they suffered within themselves the penalty they deserved. What? Damn, that's brutal. That is a brutal line. 26 to 28? That is brutal. That is actually brutal, bro. My husband is the Surfer Guy 760. You made our car ride more enjoyable. I don't know if I've ever seen Surfer Guy type in the chat, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the suggestion. You're making my stream more enjoyable. You're actually, you actually brought something to talk about and to read about. So I appreciate you guys. It's always nice when someone brings something. We can read the Bible anytime, but it's very, like I said, nobody ever asks for it. So I do appreciate you asking for it. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. Your first sermon online and you picked a real gem. Oh, this isn't the first sermon, man. We used to do this every day. We used to do this every single day. And then it started to become a problem. There was a lot of discourse. People get really passionate about religion, so I kind of stopped doing it, but people do enjoy it. Beginning of dudes just playing with each other's joysticks. Alright. Since they thought it foolish to acknowledge God, he abandoned them to their foolish thinking and let them do things that should never be done. Their lives became full of every kind of wickedness, sin, greed, hate, envy, murder, quarreling, deception, malicious behavior, and gossip. They are backstabbers, haters of God, insolent, proud, and boastful. They invent new ways of sinning, and they disobey their parents. They refuse to understand, break their promises, are heartless, and have no mercy. They know God's justice requires that those who do these things deserve to die, yet they do them anyway. Worse yet, they encourage others to do them too. Dude, Romans is fire. Corey gets a haircut if he reads too much of the Bible. Bro. Gotta represent JC. The long hair and the beard, bro. Gotta represent the JC. I don't know. Have you seen the Bible games on NES? No, I don't think I have. You have Bible games? What is it? Bible game? What is it called? Bible games? On NES? You're a OG gamer, huh, yesterday? Real OG gamer. Have you read the Action Bible graphic novel? No, I don't know if you're joking. No, I've never heard of that. God's judgment of sin. You may think you can condemn such people, but you are just as bad, and you have no excuse. Dang. God. You may think you can condemn... Dude, this is this right here. I think more people need to read this part. Bible games, look it up. All right, let me read this part. You may think you can condemn such people, But you are just as bad, and you have no excuse. When you say they are wicked and should be punished, you are condemning yourself, for you who judge others do these very same things. And we know that God, in his justice, will punish anyone who does such things. Since you judge others for doing these things, why do you think you can avoid God's judgment when you do the same things? Don't you see how wonderfully kind, tolerant, and patient God is with you? Does this mean nothing to you? Can't you see that his kindness is intended to turn you from your sin? But because you are stubborn and refuse to turn from your sin, you are storing up terrible punishment for yourself. For a day of anger is coming when God's righteous judgment will be revealed. He will judge everyone according to what they have done. He will give eternal life to those who keep on doing good, seeking after the glory and honor and immortality that God offers. But he will pour out his anger and wrath on those who live for themselves, who refuse to obey the truth and instead live lives of wickedness. There will be trouble and calamity for everyone who keeps on doing that is evil, for the Jew first, and also the Gentile. But there will be glory and honor and peace from God for all who do good, for the Jew first and also the Gentile, for God does not show favoritism. When the Gentiles sin, they will be destroyed, even though they never had God's written law. And the Jews, who do have God's law, will be judged by that law when they fail to obey it. For merely listening to the law doesn't make us right with God. It is obeying the law that makes us right in his sight. Even Gentiles who do not have God's written law show that they know his law when they instinctively obey it, even without having heard it. They demonstrate that God's law is written in their hearts, for their own conscience and thoughts either accuse them or tell them they are doing right. And this is the message I proclaim, that the day is coming when God, through Christ Jesus, will judge everyone's secret life. Dang. Hey, Zone Best Deal with the $5. Thank you, Zone Best Deal. I'm glad you didn't quit. Keep bringing the Gamestop content. Here to support you every step of the way. Let's go Gamestop. Hey, shout out Zone Best Deals. I appreciate the $5, bro. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel, and thank you for the kind message, my friend. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll just turn this channel into a Bible channel. I've always considered doing it, but like, there's one reason why I won't do it. Is because I think like making money from God's word is kind of bad. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know if I would feel right about like just making content around the Bible. Like, obviously I'll read it on stream. You know, it's fun to read on stream sometimes and people enjoy it, but to like fully dedicate to this on YouTube, I just don't know how I would feel about it. Especially if it was like successful. If it was actually successful and I started making like a lot of money on YouTube just like reading the Bible and talking about this stuff, I don't know how I would feel about it, man. I don't know how I would feel about it. 1 second. Give me a second. Jesus is on to me. GMesus. Joel Osteen seems cool with it. Mega churches don't seem to mind. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It would be interesting. Thank you for reading the Bible. We look forward to the shareholder meeting. Oh, thank you for the $5, Raw Sunshine. Thank you. I appreciate you, and thank you for the suggestion. I hope you guys enjoy your trip. I'll continue reading it. We'll read I'm only on Romans 2. I think there's 15, so I better get on it. If you do it with sincerity, the money won't be a factor. Worst case scenario, you donate all the proceeds or a large portion of it. Yeah, good point. Good point yesterday. Jesus is good all the time. Amen, amen. The power of Christ been compelling us GME investors. The power of Christ compels you. All right. Let's keep it going. Now, thank you for the donations, Zone Best and Raw Sunshine. I really appreciate that. All right. I also appreciate your husband. I shout out what'd you say, Surfer Guy 760. I appreciate him telling you about the channel, and that's cool. I think that's really cool. I would never expect like people to talk about my YouTube channel like at all. So I really appreciate your husband for telling you about the channel, and or if you have found it, I don't know, but that's awesome. Don't appreciate him too much. Reread the verse and be wary. I do appreciate him. I think that's cool that he told his wife about the YouTube channel, and also told her that that I do this. Like, when do we ever read the Bible? It's so rare. I just think that's pretty cool. The Jews and the law. You who call yourself Jews are relying on God's law, and you boast about your special relationship with him. You know what he wants. You know what is right because you have been taught his law. You are convinced that you are a guide for the blind and a light for people who are lost in darkness. You think you can instruct the ignorant and teach children the ways of God, for you are certain that God's law gives you complete knowledge and truth. Well then, if you teach others, why don't you teach yourself? You tell others not to steal, but do you steal? You say it is wrong to commit adultery, but do you commit adultery? You condemn idolatry. Idolatry? I think it's idolatry. You condemn idolatry, but do you use items stolen from pagan temples? You are so proud of knowing the law, but you dishonor God by breaking it. No wonder the scriptures say, the Gentiles blaspheme the name of God because of you. The Jewish ceremony of circumcision has value only if you obey God's law. But if you don't obey God's law, you are no better off than an uncircumcised Gentile. And if the Gentiles obey God's law, won't God declare them to be his own people? In fact, uncircumcised Gentiles who keep God's law will condemn you Jews who are circumcised and possess God's law but don't obey it. For you are not a true Jew just because you were born of Jewish parents or because you have gone through the ceremony of circumcision. No, a true Jew is one whose heart is right with God, and the true circumcision is not merely obeying the letter of the law. Rather, it is a change of heart produced by the Spirit. And a person with a changed heart seeks praise from God, not from people. God remains faithful. Then what's the advantage of being a Jew? Is there any value in the ceremony of circumcision? Yes, there are great benefits. First of all, the Jews were entrusted with the whole revelation of God. True, some of them were unfaithful, but just because they were unfaithful does not mean God will be unfaithful. Does that not mean God will be unfaithful? Of course not. Even if everyone else is a liar, God is true. As the scriptures say about him, you will be proved right in what you say, and you will win your case in court. But some might say, our sinfulness serves a good purpose, for it helps people see how righteous God is. Isn't it unfair that then, for him to punish us? This is merely a human point of view. Of course not. If God were entirely fair, how would he be qualified to judge the world? But someone might still argue, how can God condemn me as a sinner if my dishonesty highlights his truthfulness and brings him more glory? And some people even slander us by claiming that we say, the more we sin, the better it is. Those who say such things deserve to be condemned. You know, I'm a fan of the Bible reading, but I like it when it's trolling the trolls. Gme going up a penny per verse. Coincidence? I haven't been paying attention. Hey, let's go. Let's go. A penny per verse. Let's keep it going. Have to head out now. Glad I was able to catch you live. Thumbs up on the stream. Have a good one. See y'all tomorrow for the big day. And much love yesterday. Appreciate you stopping in, man. Appreciate you stopping in and bringing some conversation to the chat. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, man. You have a good rest of your day. Hopefully I'll be on stream for the meeting. It does start really early. So, we'll see. We'll see. I enjoy the Bible readings because it's like I said, we used to do it like every day, but I enjoy it because a lot of this news is just like super negative, and I don't know. A lot of it's kind of just like a waste of brain space. Like, do you really care that Krispy Kreme's Girl Scout cookie donuts return? Like, do you really care about that? I don't know. Do you care about this dude? I mean, it's sad, you know, don't get me wrong, but found dead and tortured after receiving death threats over activism. Like, is that what you want to be reading? Is that the thing you want to be consuming? I don't, you know. I don't. Like, whoever this is banned on Twitch after arguing with viewers about being drunk while driving. Like this is what you're consuming if you're not reading the Bible. It's just a bunch of negative nonsense. So, you know, if people enjoy the Bible readings, maybe we'll bring them back. Maybe we'll bring them back. Never in my streaming career did I ever think someone would come in here and ask for it, though. That's new. That's new. Alright. All people are sinners. Well then, should we conclude that we Jews are better than others? No, not at all, for we have already shown that all people, whether Jew or Gentile, are under the power of sin. As the scriptures say, no one is righteous, not even one. No one is truly wise. No one is seeking God. All have turned away. All have become useless. No one does good, not a single one. Their talk is foul, like the stench from an open grave. Their tongues are filled with lies. Snake venom drips from their lips. Their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness. They rush to commit murder. Destruction and misery always follows them. They don't know where to find peace. They have no fear of God at all. Obviously, the law applies to those to whom it was given, for its purpose is to keep people from having excuses and to show that the entire world is guilty before God. For no one can ever be made right with God by doing what the law commands. The law simply shows us how sinful we are. Christ took our punishment, but now God has shown us a way to be made right with him without keeping the requirements of the law. As was promised in the writings of Moses and the prophets long ago, we are made right with God by placing our faith in Jesus Christ. And this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are. For everyone has sinned, we all fall short of God's glorious standard, yet God, in his grace, freely makes us right in his sight. He did this through Christ Jesus when he freed us from the penalty for our sins. For God presented Jesus as the sacrifice for sin. People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood. This sacrifice shows that God was being fair when he held back and did not punish those who sinned in times past. For he was looking ahead and including them in what he would do in this present time. God did this to demonstrate his righteousness, for he himself is fair and just, and he makes sinners right in his sights when they believe in Jesus. Can we boast then that we have done anything to be accepted by God? No, because our acquittal is not based on obeying the law. It is based on faith. So we are made right with God through faith and not by obeying the law. After all, is God the God of the Jews only? Isn't he also the God of the Gentiles? Of course he is. There is only one God, and he makes people right with himself, only by faith, whether they are Jews or Gentiles. Well then, if we emphasize faith, does this mean that we can forget about the law? Of course not. In fact, only when we have faith do we truly fulfill the law. Gotta step out, may Christ be with you and everybody else in here. Hey, much love, Break Nation. If I don't see you later, I'll see you tomorrow or something. The faith of Abraham. Abraham was, humanly speaking, the founder of our Jewish nation. What did he discover about being made right with God? If his good deeds has made him acceptable to God, he would have had something to boast about. But that was not God's way. For the scriptures tell us, Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. When people work, their wages are not a gift, but something they have earned. But people are counted as righteous, not because of their work, but because of their faith in God who forgives sinners. David also spoke of this when he described the happiness of those who are declared righteous without working for it. Oh, what joy for those whose disobedience is forgiven, whose sins are put out of sight. Yes, what joy for those whose record the Lord has cleared of sin. Now, is this blessing only for the Jews, or is it also for the Gentiles? Well, we have been saying that Abraham was counted as righteous by God because of his faith. But how did that happen? Was he counted as righteous only after he was circumcised, or was it before? Clearly, God accepted Abraham before. Circumcision was a sign that Abraham already had faith, and that God had already accepted him and declared him to be righteous even before he was circumcised. So Abraham is the spiritual father of those who have faith but have not been circumcised. They are counted as righteous because of their faith. And Abraham is also the spiritual father of those who have been circumcised, but only if they have the same kind of faith Abraham had before he was. Clearly, God's promise to give the whole earth to Abraham and his descendants was based not on his obedience to God's law, but on a right relationship with God that comes by faith. If God's promise is only for those who obey the law, then faith is not necessary, and the promise is pointless. For the law always brings punishment on those who try to obey it. The only way to avoid breaking the law is to have no law to break. So the promise is received by faith. It is given as a free gift, and we are all certain to receive it, whether or not we live according to the law of Moses. If we have faith like Abraham's, for Abraham is the father of all who believe, that is what the scriptures mean when God told him, I have made you the father of many nations. This happened because Abraham believed in the God who brings the dead back to life and who creates new things out of nothing. Even when there is no reason for hope, Abraham kept hoping, believing that he would become the father of many nations, for God had said to him, "That's how many descendants you will have." And Abraham's faith did not weaken, even though, at about 100 years of age, he figured his body was as good as dead, and so was Sarah's womb. Abraham never wavered in believing God's promise. In fact, his faith grew stronger, and in this, he brought glory to God. He was fully convinced that God is able to do whatever he promises, and because of Abraham's faith, God counted on him as righteous. And when God counted him as righteous, it wasn't just for Abraham's benefit, it was recorded for our benefit too, assuring us that God will also count us as righteous if we believe in him, the one who raised Jesus our Lord from the dead. He was handed over to die because of our sins, and he was raised to life to make us right with God. People have been slowly leaving, so I guess not everyone, well, I think some people are busy, but I guess not everyone enjoys this. But I'm enjoying it, so hopefully the people who are here that are enjoying it. 1 second. Let me close all these tabs real quick. Got FOMC minutes this week. Those might be important to start paying attention to. It's been a while since I thought the Federal Reserve was something you should pay attention to, but I think it's about time to start paying attention to that again. I read about all that. Okay. We still have the Pokemon thing. Yeah, GameStop's up a little bit. Exciting. There's a whopping 7 people here, so I should show you how many people care that the stock's up. KCR. What's up, KCR? Is there other people live right now? That could also be a thing. You know, I'm not talking about GameStop, so if there's other people who are live. No, doesn't look like it. I guess just nobody wants to listen to the Bible being read and nobody cares that the stock's up. Fair enough. Fair enough. Have I seen the new Larry Chang interview? No, I have not. Nobody's talked about it. Where's it at? Is it on Twitter, YouTube? That one's 6 months ago. This one? With Nicholas Moron? Is this what you're talking about? This one. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll check that out. We gotta read some more Biblio, though. Appreciate you bringing that in here, KCR. Nobody else talked about that, so appreciate it. All right. Faith brings joy. Therefore, since we have been made right in God's sight by faith, we have peace with God because of what Jesus Christ our Lord has done for us. Because of our faith, Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved privilege where we now stand, and we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. We can rejoice, too, when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation, and this hope will not lead to disappointment. For we know how dearly God loves us, because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with his love. When we were utterly helpless, Christ came at just the right time and died for us sinners. Now, most people would not be willing to die for an upright person, though someone might perhaps be willing to die for a person who is especially good. But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. And since we have been made right in God's sight by the blood of Christ, he will certainly save us from God's condemnation. For since our friendship with God was restored by the death of his Son, while we were still his enemies, we will certainly be saved through the life of his Son. So now we can rejoice in our wonderful new relationship with God, because our Lord Jesus Christ has made us friends of God. Adam and Christ contrasted. When Adam sinned, sin entered the world. Adam's sin brought death, so death was spread to everyone, for everyone sinned. Yes, people sinned even before the law was given, but it was not counted as sin because there was not yet any law to break. Still, everyone died from the time of Adam to the time of Moses, even those who did not disobey the explicit commandment of God, as Adam did. Now Adam is a symbol, a representation of Christ, who is yet to come, but there is a great difference between Adam's sin and God's gracious gift. For the sin of this one man, Adam, brought death to many. But even greater is God's wonderful grace and his gift of forgiveness to many through this other man, Jesus Christ. And the result of God's gracious gift is very different from the result of the one man's sin. For Adam's sin led to condemnation, but God's free gift leads to our being made right with God, even though we are guilty of many sins. For the sin of this one man, Adam, caused death to rule over many, but even greater is God's wonderful grace and his gift of righteousness, for all who receive it will live in triumph over sin and death through this one man, Jesus Christ. Yes, Adam's one sin brings condemnation for everyone, but Christ's one act of righteousness brings a right relationship with God and new life for everyone. Because one person disobeyed God, many became sinners. But because one other person obeyed God, many will be made righteous. God's law was given so that all people could see how sinful they were, but as people sinned more and more, God's wonderful grace became more abundant. So just as sin ruled over all people and brought them to death, now God's wonderful grace rules instead, giving us right standing with God and resulting in eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Deja vu, what's up, Deja vu? Sin's power is broken. Well then, Should we keep sinning so that God can show us more and more of His wonderful grace? Of course not. We have died to sin. How can we continue to live in it? Or have you forgotten that when we were joined with Christ Jesus in baptism, we joined Him in His death? For we died and were buried with Christ by baptism. And just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glorious power of the Father, now we also may live new lives. Since we have been united with Him in His death, we will also be raised to life as He was. We know that our old sinful selves were crucified with Christ so that sin might lose its power in our lives. We are no longer slaves to sin. For when we died with Christ, we were set free from the power of sin. And since we died with Christ, we know we will also live with Him. We are sure of this because Christ was raised from the dead, and He will never die again. Death no longer has any power over Him. When He died once to break the power of sin. But now that He lives for the glory of God. So you also should consider yourself to be dead to the power of sin and alive to God through Christ Jesus. Do not let sin control the way you live. Do not give in to sinful desires. Do not let any part of your body become an instrument of evil to serve sin. Instead, give yourselves completely to God, for you were dead, but now you have new life. So use your whole body as an instrument to do what is right for the glory of God. Sin is no longer your master, for you no longer live under the requirements of the law. Instead, you live under the freedom of God's grace. Well then, since God's grace has set us free from the law, does that mean we can go on sinning? Of course not. Don't you realize that you become the slave of whatever you choose to obey? You can be a slave to sin, which leads to death, or you can choose to obey God, which leads to righteous living. Thank God, once you were slaves of sin, but now you wholeheartedly obey this teaching we have given you. Now you are free from your slavery to sin, and you have become slaves to righteous living. Because of the weakness of your human nature, I am using the illustration of slavery to help you understand all of this. Previously, you let yourself be slaves to impurity and lawlessness, which led ever deeper into sin. Now you must give yourselves to be slaves of righteousness, living so that you will become holy. When you were slaves to sin, you were free from obligation to do right. And what was the result? You are now ashamed of the things you used to do, things that end in eternal doom. But now you are free from the power of sin and have become slaves of God. Now you do those things that lead to holiness and result in eternal life. For the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life through Christ Jesus our Lord. No longer bound to the law. Now, dear brothers and sisters, you who are familiar with the law, don't you know that the law applies only while a person is living? For example, when a woman marries, the law binds her to her husband as long as he is alive, but if he dies, the laws of marriage no longer apply to her. So while her husband is alive, she would be committing adultery if she had married another man. But if her husband dies, she is free from that law and does not commit adultery when she remarries. So my dear brothers and sisters, this is the point. You died to the power of the law when you died with Christ, and now you are united with the one who was raised from the dead. As a result, we can produce a harvest of good deeds for God. When we were controlled by our old nature, sinful desires were at work within us, and the law aroused these evil desires that produced a harvest of sinful deeds, resulting in death. But now we have been released from the law, for we died to it and are no longer captive to its power. Now we can serve God, not in the old way of obeying the letter of the law, but in the new way of living in the Spirit. God's law reveals our sin. Well then, I'm suggesting that the law of God is sinful. Am I suggesting that the law of God is sinful? Of course not. In fact, it was the law that showed me my sin. I would never have known that coveting is wrong if the law had not said, "You must not covet." But sin used this command to arouse all kinds of covetous desires within me. If there were no law, sin would not have that power. At one time I lived without understanding the law. When I learned the command not to covet, for instance, the power of sin came to life, and I died. So I discovered that the law's commands, which were supposed to bring life, brought spiritual death instead. Sin took advantage of those commands and deceived me. It used the commands to kill me. But still, the law itself is holy, and its commands are holy and right and good. But how can that be? Did the law, which is good, cause my death? Of course not. Sin used that was good to bring about my condemnation to death. So we can see how terrible sin really is. It uses God's good commands for its own evil purposes. Struggling with sin. So the trouble is not with the law, for it is spiritual and good. The trouble is with me, for I am all too human, a slave to sin. I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. But if I know that what I am doing is wrong, this shows that I agree that the law is good. So I'm not the only one doing wrong. It is sin living in me that does it. And I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. But if I do what I don't want to do, I am not really the one doing wrong. It is a sin living in me that does it. I have discovered this principle of life, that when I want to do what is right, I inevitably do what is wrong. I love God's law with all my heart, but there is another power within me that is at war with my mind. This power makes me a slave to the sin that is still within me. Oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death? Thank God. The answer is in Jesus Christ our Lord. So you see how it is. In my mind, I really want to obey God's law, but because of my sinful nature, I am a slave to sin. All right. How many more? I think we're only like halfway through, so I might end it there. There's 16. We're on 8. Yeah, we're halfway through. And I think we'll leave it there. I want to read this Pokemon article, and then I guess we'll watch this Larry Chang interview and get up out of here. But I don't know if Raw Sunshine is here still, but appreciate you suggesting to read that. It was a good time. All right. Read this Pokemon thing, and then we'll watch the Larry Chang interview. All right. Even Nintendo knows that the Pokemon trading card game has a terrible scalping problem. Oh, Surfer Guy. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, Surfer Guy. Thanks for telling your wife about the channel. How's my house doing? Everything's done. I'm still just waiting on someone to do the concrete. Everyone who says they want to do the concrete or will help me with the concrete, they just bail, so I haven't been able to get the concrete done yet. But other than that, it's done. It's fine. But yeah, hopefully here soon I'll be able to get it done. But I appreciate you, Surfer Guy. Thank you, bro. We'll have to read more Bible again. Get your wife in here and we'll read some more another time. Battle Rat, what's up, Battle Rat? How you doing, man? All right. So even Nintendo knows that Pokemon TCG has a terrible scalping problem. In recent years, the cost of buying cards secondhand has risen, and now retailers like GameStop are massively marking up prices on Pokemon TCG products they know people are interested in. It has gotten so bad that Nintendo has discussed it with shareholders. Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa was asked about what the company was doing to address the problems caused by bulk purchasing and high-priced reselling during the company's latest annual meeting with shareholders. Furukawa noted that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are aware of the problem and are embracing measures such as made-to-order sales to address it. With respect to the Pokemon trading card game offered by the Pokemon Company, which is an equity method subsidiary of Nintendo, we are aware of instances where limited quantity cards are purchased in large volume, leading to high-priced reselling in the market. In response, the Pokemon Company is taking various measures, including made-to-order sales and agreements with marketplace operators for online priority drawings for certain products. I understand that the Pokemon Company also plans to use an account verification method that utilizes my number cards, Japan's official government-issued ID. I just lost my spot. Oh. We've already heard about some of these initiatives, like the ID requirement in Japan, but it's good to hear Nintendo knows this is a problem it needs to address. That said, it's a bit disappointing that Furukawa ultimately puts the onus on fixing it on the Pokemon Company. Nintendo also communicates with the Pokemon Company as needed to discuss appropriate ways to deliver products to consumers. We believe that the Pokemon Company will continue to take measures to respond to this issue. I'd like to see Nintendo be a little more proactive in finding clever ways to address these scalping issues, as they make collecting and engaging with Pokemon trading card game much more costly and stressful than they need to be. At least Nintendo now knows that scalping is even a concern to investors, and might be more encouraged to fight it as a result. Okay. Interesting. All right. Larry Chang interview. Let's run it. What's up, Kev? How you doing, man?
Managing partner of Larry Chang joins us today from Boston. He's the co-founder and managing partner of Volition Capital, a growth equity firm currently investing out of a $675 million fund. Before Volition, Larry led investments at Fidelity Ventures and began his venture career at Bessemer. He was the first investor in Chewy and has invested in companies including U.S. Mobile, Rounds, and Global Trans. Larry, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Nick.
So I'd love to start off and talk about some public companies.
Let's do it.
We've got some interesting public news on the forefront, so we'll put a pin in that for a second. But you were the first investor in Chewy.
Correct.
And, what I'm curious about is, what made you believe that they could build a standalone e-commerce winner in the pet category when so many categories, had been or would be sort of subsumed by Amazon and eBay?
Amazon is the everything store, and what I saw in the pet market was a large segment that was moving online, but the customer wasn't going to be taken care of well in a superstore and an everything store. And what Chewy had done was focus their experience and their merchandising, their pricing, their fulfillment, everything around wowing the pet food customer, which is something that Amazon couldn't do. So it was the classic sort of specialty, super tailored experience against the generic experience. And the pet category in and of itself it's an emotional category. People really care about their pets, and the humanization of pets was expanding. So we thought Chewy had a great chance to win in the category. Their customer retention was like phenomenal, like Amazon Prime level retention. And we saw the math on the business was working. So we thought they had a shot. And I'd be lying though if I said I wasn't worried, because when I was in due diligence on the company, I was getting Amazon boxes that were advertising their pet food store called WAG at the time. And I thought, am I freaking insane that I'm investing in this company and Amazon's advertising for their own pet food store? But it worked out well.
How do you
WAG? I feel like I remember WAG. Yeah, appreciate that, Carter. Appreciate that, man. Is this guy who chose consistency as a superpower? I think so. Pretty sure.
overcome those hiccups, right? Late in a deal, you've written about this a bit, but there's like a psychology thing going on here, like, right? If like the financial situation, personal financial situation is difficult.
Yes.
If the markets get rocked and drop substantially, if you get bad news about a portfolio company, if colleagues, start talking about the downsides of an investment, there's all these factors that can creep up late in the diligence process. How do you kind of, use sort of selective memory or, compartmentalize these things and still push forward, with confidence?
Every good investment, there should be someone saying something negative. There should be an alternate perspective. And so I think I'm used to that at this point, is that you're not looking to hit the finish line of an investment and hope everyone around you is cheering you, saying, this is fantastic, please do this investment. That is not the case. That's usually a recipe for just saying you've missed something in due diligence. And so the question is, for any great investment, and this took me years to learn, there are going to be very, very good reasons to pass at the time of the investment.
I think that's funny. There should be some skepticism about your investment. It's a good point. I mean, I agree. I agree with that. If a bunch of people are excited about whatever you're excited about, it's probably not a good idea. But if everyone hates what you're excited about, it's probably a good idea. Reading the Bible verse today, truly appreciate it. GameStop's the best company in the world, led by the best leadership. Yeah, I appreciate you, Zone Best. Thanks for the donation as well. And I appreciate the kind words, my friend.
Because you could have passed on any number of companies. Think about the one that just went public, SpaceX. Like, there are probably 1,000 reasons to pass on that at every round. And so you have to become accustomed to that and understand, like, what is the true exceptionality of this business? Is that exceptionality in my head, or is that real and demonstrated in some way? And will that carry them through some of the risks that might be in any business? And so it's sort of having that true north mentality around it.
Should I be making a stream clip out of this? How did my last Larry Chang interview video do? I just don't know if I want to post stream clips anymore. Let's see. I think the last one only got like 400 views or something, so it's probably not worth my time. Kind of just want to watch it. Yeah. Yeah, it made $5 though. I don't know. We'll just watch it. I don't know. I don't think I want to post stream clips anymore. It's easier. It's easier than doing these stupid talking videos I've been doing. But I don't know. Carry on. What's up, Power Ranger? Yeah, I hope you had a good 4th as well, Power Ranger. Appreciate it, man.
Exceptionalities are what carries a great investment, not the absence of flaws.
Love it. Do you think an e-commerce specialty player like a Chewy can be built in this AI-driven era we find ourselves in?
I don't think Chewy could be built right now, to be honest. We invested in Chewy in 2013, and it had it's a public company today, but we held that business for 5 years before we sold it. We kind of...
I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone in here who actually watches like the videos I post. Most of you guys, I'm pretty sure you only watch the stream, but if you watch any of the videos I post, What do you prefer? Do you prefer like the talking style videos I've been doing recently, or do you like the stream clips so you can, see something that you missed in the stream or something like that? I'd be curious what you guys think. If, like I said, I don't know if anyone here actually watches the videos I post.
Snuck up on Amazon. I remember seeing market research reports saying that the percentage of online spending in pet food was a certain amount, and that amount was less than the revenues of Chewy. And so we snuck up on the entire market. We snuck up on the big box retailers, and we built a differentiated offering. I think it'd be hard to do that today. That being said, if I were to counter that, we invested a ton in customer service, and there still are verticals where I think the leading players could do a better job in service, and that's what Chewy did, was just exceptional service. And I think those opportunities can still exist, but we might not be as under the radar today if we tried it again.
It feels like on the surface, there's a lot of nuance to this, but it feels like on the surface, e-commerce and marketplaces are more durable than pure SaaS in this environment.
Depends. I think that's general. It's kind of funny because 2 years ago, you would never have said that.
I know.
And I do think there are.
Interesting. Let's see, I watch them. I like your video reactions. Buffett, Kitty, Larry, Ryan. The talking video on Moist Critical is good. Stream clips are helpful to get the info from missed streams. Life gets busy, so it's nice to catch up on things without deep diving all the time. And that's a good point, Power Ranger. That's a really good point. I like them both, but I'm more inclined to the reaction style. Interesting. See, I thought people would like the talking videos more, because the reaction videos, they're just the stream but in a video. But I guess I get like what Power Ranger is saying. Life gets busy. It's nice to catch up without deep diving all the time. Yeah, because if you miss something from the stream, you would have to go through like the 2-3 hour stream and try to find whatever. Whereas if I just post what I think is important, that's a really good point. Gosh dang it. People are making hella money reacting to paranormal videos. It's crazy. I could imagine, man. People like that stuff. All right. Well, I have to restart the video then if we're going to make a stream clip out of it, because I wasn't recording this whole time. But you made some good points. You made some good points, and I'll start posting the stream clips again, because that's a really good point. Not everyone has the time to watch the stream, so and not everyone has the time to rewatch the streams, especially like when I was doing them every single day. So very good points. What's up, Yuku? What's up, man? I don't really know how to start the video, but we got a brand new Larry Chang video that just dropped from the Full Ratchet podcast. I've never seen these guys before, but any Larry Chang interview is a good interview, so let's check it out.
Larry Chang joins us today from Boston. He's the co-founder and managing partner of Volition Capital, a growth equity firm currently investing out of a $675 million fund. Before Volition...
What was that? Why did it just lag? Why did it just lag like that? That's annoying. All right, maybe I just won't even make an intro. Maybe I won't make an intro. Or I'll maybe just no intro. Thought it was my connection. For some reason, my computer does that sometimes. I don't know why. I don't know why it does that. It's very weird. All right. Okay. GameStop. All right, here we go. GameStop board member Larry Chang did an interview with the Full Ratchet podcast. I've never heard of this podcast, but any Larry Chang interview is a good interview, so let's check it out.
Larry Chang joins us today from Boston. He's the co-founder and managing partner of Volition Capital, a growth equity firm currently investing out of a $675 million fund. Before Volition, Larry led investments at Fidelity Ventures and began his venture career at Bessemer.
Dude, I didn't know Volition Capital was that large of a fund. 675 million? That's quite a bit.
He was the first investor in Chewy and has invested in companies including U.S. Mobile, Rounds, and Global Trans. Larry, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Nick.
So I'd love to start off and talk about some public companies.
Let's do it.
We've got some interesting public news on the forefront, so we'll put a pin in that for a second. But you were the first investor in Chewy.
Correct.
And, what I'm curious about is, what made you believe that they could build a standalone e-commerce winner in the pet category when so many categories, had been or would be sort of subsumed by Amazon and eBay?
I wonder if Larry or Volition is still invested in Chewy today. I don't know about that.
Amazon is the everything store, and what I saw in the pet market was a large segment that was moving online, but the customer wasn't going to be taken care of well in a superstore and an everything store. And what Chewy had done was focus their experience and their merchandising, their pricing, their fulfillment, everything around wowing the pet food customer, which is something that Amazon couldn't do. So it was the classic sort of specialty, super tailored experience against the generic experience. And the pet category in and of itself it's an emotional category. People really care about their pets, and the humanization of pets was expanding. So we thought Chewy had a great chance to win in the category. Their customer retention was like phenomenal, like Amazon Prime level retention. And we saw the math on the business was working. So we thought they had a shot. And I'd be lying though if I said I wasn't worried, because when I was in due diligence on the company, I was getting Amazon boxes that were advertising their pet food store called WAG at the time. And I thought, am I freaking insane that I'm investing in this company and Amazon's advertising for their own pet food store? But it worked out well.
I also wonder if Ryan and the team will come back to buy Chewy. Chewy's stock's not doing that well right now, and I'm just curious, after they buy eBay, will they come back for Chewy? I don't know. I feel like Ryan would want to buy Chewy back because potentially he would know how to make it way more profitable and way more efficient, but to be determined, I guess. The focus is on eBay for now, and maybe Chewy's not even in the conversation. It's just a thought I've been having recently.
How do you overcome those hiccups, right? Late in the deal, you've written about this a bit, but there's like a psychology thing going on here, right? If like the personal financial situation is difficult.
Yes.
If the markets get rocked and drop substantially, if you get bad news about a portfolio company, if colleagues, start talking about the downsides of an investment, there's all these factors that can creep up late in the diligence process. How do you kind of, use sort of selective memory or, compartmentalize these things and still push forward, with confidence?
Every good investment, there should be someone saying something negative. There should be an alternative perspective. And so I think I'm used to that at this point.
Sounds a lot like GameStop. Everyone has something to say about GameStop, and it's usually negative. So good point.
You're not looking to hit the finish line of an investment and hope everyone around you is cheering you, saying, this is fantastic, please do this investment. That is not the case. That's usually a recipe for just saying you've missed something in due diligence. And so the question is, for any great investment, and this took me years to learn, there are going to be very, very good reasons to pass at the time of the investment. Because you could have passed on any number of companies. Think about the one that just went public, SpaceX. There are probably 1,000 reasons to pass on that at every round. And so you have to become accustomed to that and understand, what is the true exceptionality of this business? Is that exceptionality in my head, or is that real and demonstrated in some way? and will that carry them through some of the risks that might be in any business? And so it's sort of having that true north mentality around exceptionalities are what carries a great investment, not the absence of flaws.
In general, I do agree with Larry there, but if you had that same mindset recently, you would have missed out on the AI trade. And there was a lot of opportunity, and potentially still is a lot of opportunity in the past year in a lot of these technology AI stocks. But in the next 5-10 years, I don't know if these stocks are going to continue to hold the price that they're at or continue to go up like they are. It generally fades after a certain amount of time. Stocks don't really just go up forever, especially if they're only going up off speculation. If there's no real business model behind it, it's usually short-lived. And, stocks can get super overpriced in moments and then go back to their fair value eventually. So, in general, I do agree with Larry. You don't really want to be investing in the things that everyone else wants to be investing in, but there is a lot of potential to make money in trading things that people are excited about. But trading and investing are two completely different things.
Love it. Do you think an e-commerce specialty player like a Chewy can be built in this AI-driven era we find ourselves in?
I don't think Chewy could be built right now, to be honest. We invested in Chewy in 2013, and it had a great. It's a public company today, but we held that business for 5 years before we sold it, and we kind of snuck up on Amazon. I remember seeing market research reports saying that the percentage of online spending in pet food was a certain amount, and that amount was less than the revenues of Chewy, and so we snuck up on the entire market. We snuck up on the big box retailers, and we built a differentiated offering. I think it'd be hard to do that today. That being said, if I were to counter that, we invested a ton in customer service, and there still are verticals where I think the leading players could do a better job in service, and that's what Chewy did, was just exceptional service. And I think those opportunities can still exist, but we might not be as under the radar today if we tried it again.
It feels like on the surface, there's a lot of nuance to this, but it feels like on the surface, e-commerce and marketplaces are more durable than pure SaaS in this environment.
Depends. I think that's general. It's kind of funny because 2 years ago, you would never have said that.
I know.
And I do think there are certain categories of software that should not be brushed with the software as dead stroke and SaaS apocalypse and all of that, that are deeply entrenched into their tech stacks of their customers. They're deeply entrenched into the data moat and the data elements of their customers. And their customers might not be your Silicon Valley startup that's on the bleeding edge. And they will have the first right of refusal, if you will, on the AI spend of their customers. And if they can't win it, that's their fault. Shame on them. There are other software companies that are lighter workflow that I think are more easily displaceable in an area of agentic coding, and those I'd be more concerned about. But there's a mix, I would say. E-commerce is a hard business. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy to build Chewy. So I wouldn't say if you launch an e-commerce store and you're somehow immune, you still have to fight Amazon. You have to fight all the retailers. It's not an easy business. Marketplaces, if you can get to scale, can have more moats in e-commerce businesses. So I'd probably put those two in different categories as well.
Got it. So another public company that I'd like to chat about is GameStop. You happen to sit on the board. Most people listening remember GameStop.
Yes, GameStop, let's go.
From the meme stock days. But a lot has happened since. The company's built up billions in cash. They started buying Bitcoin for its treasury. And then this spring made a real surprise move, roughly 50.
Let's be clear. Them buying Bitcoin was a terrible decision. Sure, they're making money on the covered calls, whatever, but God, Bitcoin is so trash. I don't know. I don't even know why they bought it, but whatever.
$6 billion bid to buy eBay, a company several times the market cap of GameStop. eBay's board turned it down. You were part of the board that put that offer forward. What did you all see in that combination that made it worth pursuing?
Well, I'll make general comments if that's okay on this topic. I think Ryan Cohen, not the founder, but the CEO of the business and chair, is the best spokesman for GameStop's plans. And we have a significant balance sheet today, and we want to do some transformative actions with that balance sheet. The GameStop business is now quite profitable. It's a very strong business, particularly compared to when we first started getting involved with the business and when Ryan first invested in the business. And so it's a completely different ballgame today. And so you're seeing a very strong foundational business with a very strong balance sheet that's open to transformative ideas. And obviously this is one of them.
You know, something that strikes me is GameStop has become pretty multifaceted, right? It's still a retailer, but it's also one of the larger corporate holders of Bitcoin. It's now, considering acquisitions. How does one think about the best use of, balance sheet or the next dollar when it comes to, a business like this and the trade-offs involved?
You just listen to Ryan. Ryan says, "We're gonna YOLO all the money into eBay," and you just shake your head yes. That's what you do. When Ryan says we're gonna do something, we do it. And then it usually works out, it seems like. But I mean, Ryan has said that he's made a lot of mistakes throughout his time at GameStop, so it's not like a for sure thing. But Ryan has been crushing it, and the GameStop team. It's not just Ryan, but I'd imagine Ryan's the one who decided to pursue eBay. I don't know if that was like something that the board agreed on and talked about. It seems like that's kind of Ryan's idea, but overall, the past 2 or 3 years, Ryan has absolutely been crushing. So I think, anything Ryan says is going to work, potentially is going to work.
I mean, it all comes down to one of the fundamental tenets or roles of a leader, especially a CEO, is capital allocation. And the question is always like, where can you optimize return on every dollar that you have to spend, whether that's, issuing a dividend, investing in your own business. Google invested in SpaceX, and
I hope GameStop never releases a dividend, unless it's another like warrant dividend. I was cool with the warrant dividend, but I don't really want dividends as a GameStop shareholder. I mean, obviously, if we do buy eBay, eBay already has dividends in progress, so potentially, we'll start getting dividends after the eBay acquisition. But ideally, if they do acquire eBay, they get rid of the dividends, they get rid of the compensation, they get rid of the buybacks, and that'll be a lot of money that'll just go onto, GM eBay's balance sheet.
Those types of things. There's different ways to optimize a balance sheet, and I think that's what we're doing, is basically thinking open-mindedly about capital allocation, and everything's on the table. I will say, as a board and as a leadership team, we're patient. And we are now looking to do things that are incremental. And so I think it was, is it Charlie Munger who said that like great investors, they have opposite attributes paired together, which is you are both incredibly patient and incredibly decisive at the same time. And hopefully we can embody that.
And were you on the board during that sort of historic run-up and situation?
Thankfully, I joined the board right after that.
I see.
So I was watching that from a bit of a distance. But that was quite a wild ride when I think GameStop was breaking internet brokerages everywhere and the markets were not working.
So wild. Wild. But
I wonder if we'll see that ever again, Do you think the shorts actually closed, or did they just reposition at higher prices? We'll see.
Now you can come from a position of strength and potentially do a lot more. So the other company I wanted to touch on here, Larry, is SpaceX. They just went public. Are they worth $1.75 trillion?
I didn't even look today. It's over 2, right?
Is it over?
I don't think so. I think SpaceX is maybe like 700 billion, somewhere around there. But 2 trillion? That's insane.
2 now?
Wow. I mean, it closed over 2 on Friday. But not by any traditional measure is it worth 2 trillion right now. It's you're in Google and Amazon territory overnight with that type of market cap. And notwithstanding the potential in the business, I think Bill Ackman actually framed it sort of well in my mind, which is that SpaceX is kind of like a venture bet right now. You have probably the most mature business is the Starlink business, and they're looking to have a sort of a global communications platform in the celestial sphere. And then a very high growth business is their compute and data center business, which they've signed recent deals with Anthropic and Google that are massive in size. Ironically, the space travel satellite rocket business is that's the emerging business, and all of it feeds on itself. But when you add it all together, there's a long way to go, and there's risk in all of them to sort of warrant the current market cap. That being said, it's Elon Musk, and if he hits on them in a meaningful way, there's some folks who think it would be undervalued at this level, but that would take a while to come. So I would never bet against Elon Musk, but there's a lot more that needs to come to make it all worth it.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say that exact same thing, but he said it for me, so I don't know why I'm pausing the video.
I see. What part of SpaceX's business do you think will drive the most value in the future? You mentioned a couple of them. Some are nascent.
I mean, the near-term cash flow driver will be obviously their Starlink business, but I don't know that that's the long-term value creator when it comes to moving compute into space. Elon even talks about harnessing the power of the sun to have lower-cost energy. If supply chains can move into space, and they are the corridor to make that happen. This is before we're even talking about colonizing Mars. Those could be massive. But they're much more speculative in nature. So Starlink is the early meat on the bones on this one.
Got it. So AI, infra, deep tech, space, all amongst kind of the hottest categories at the moment. Is software dead?
Oh, no. Software is not dead. I will say this, when Opus launched and the software is dead nomenclature emerged, and it happened quickly, the markets corrected, and everyone kind of jumped on that notion. And then the market sort of improved a little bit for software in the last 6 weeks or so. And then now people are saying software is not dead. And I think it's too easy to jump on either side of that bandwagon. There is real risk and there's real opportunity for software. The good news about software for software companies today is if you're sitting in that position where you're entrenched, there's going to be a substantial amount of AI demand and spend coming from your customers, and you're sitting there as an established vendor that's already tied into the ecosystem of that company. Yeah. That's going to drive growth. So it's not surprising to me at all that you're seeing some existing software companies actually have higher, new revenue, higher new bookings, those types of things in this era. But there's also this thing coming up the back, which is anything you build can be replicated, and it's getting easier. And even with the Mythos launch that happened last week that lasted for 48 hours, Fable 5, that was even a step function improvement in terms of agentic engineering. And so I think both are happening. The opportunity is bigger for those software companies that are entrenched, but the risks are coming as well. And you got to see both sides of that coin.
Why do you think they pulled Fable so quickly? Do you think it was the security breaches? Do you think it was generalized AI fear and too many voices, in the government's ears about that? What do you think were the core reasons?
My guess is it was related to security concerns. And I'm reading what you're reading, so that's above my pay grade. But there's an interesting question about regulatory dynamics around LLMs and so forth that this is raising. But my guess is that would have to be the precipitator.
Were you surprised that it was Amazon?
I can't say when it first came out that I think, oh yeah, that must be Amazon. I did not think that. But in some respects, that's not entirely surprising either.
Why do you think?
Just because there's a battle royal happening amongst different players, and oh gosh, there's new acronyms emerging that replace the FANG acronym of the players in AI, but some of them are not suitable for work. But Amazon, Anthropic, and others being in the mix of that, they're all going to be pressure testing each other along the way, and I suspect that this won't be the last time.
Should we anticipate significant job losses with the development of AI?
The battle royal on this topic as well. I think probably the initial reaction was, and this was Anthropic led in many respects and others, that there's going to be massive job losses in the very near term. That's proving out to be somewhat overstated right now. Then you have this whole other side, which is saying, hey, in every single innovation cycle, we thought we were going to lose jobs, and we didn't. So this is going to be another one of those. And I think that's a little bit overstated as well. I think what's mitigating job reductions for a lot of companies is their adoption of AI is actually quite metered. Not every company is a Silicon Valley startup with no compliance and no rules and no heritage in their tech stack, nothing. And what you're seeing out there is very metered, methodical, slow adoption. And one of two things will happen. Either those companies will eventually figure out the right AI tech stack for their business, and there better be some reduction in jobs because you're going to have increase in token spend, or those companies will be obviated by other companies that were more AI native out of the gates and can move faster and produce more quickly. And so I actually think there will be pretty meaningful job losses, but the timing will be interesting. Probably, given the way the world works, when everyone has declared there will not be AI job losses, because all of this data, that's probably when it will happen, because at that point in time, the stack will have been built.
I love Larry Chang's contrarian view on everything, because he's right, man. When the public thinks something, it generally just never happens. But as soon as they stop thinking that it's going to happen, it's just like Pokemon, you know? Back 2022, nobody gave a shit about Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or anything like that. And then, randomly everyone was just super excited about it. And now you're seeing all these prices go up, whatever. Like, it's just, it's super interesting how that works.
Interesting. Yeah. How do you think about, you've talked a couple times now about large entrenched players and their ecosystems and how they can leverage AI to their advantage, and users are pretty sticky. How do you think about sort of innovators' dilemma in this context? Pricing models are changing. We're moving from seat-based to, usage-based or tokens or outcome, in some cases, if it's a services model. And Benioff has talked about this a bit. He's trying to migrate Salesforce from seat-based to more of a metered plan. But with it comes risk, right? Because you're cannibalizing a lot of your own business. Not to mention the cost side, eats into your margins because you've got compute. So, how do you think about sort of the large entrenched players and their benefits, but also, some of the things working against them from a cash cow and cannibalization standpoint?
It's one of the things that I'm really trying to assess, particularly now in any company that we're investing in, which is softer, which is what is the culture inside this company as it relates to AI. Everyone in my world is going to come in and have a pitch deck that says something about AI, but what's for real? And we know, even from the companies that we work with, that there is a range. There are some people that are like, burn the boats, we have to go here, we have to reinvent, and there's no stone unturned in this journey, and we're going to do it right now. Like that is one segment, and then there's another segment at the other end, which is like AI is as basically slideware and nothing has changed inside, and then there's everything in between. I do think there are some larger, particularly tech companies, that are more into the first range. The Silicon Valley startup companies are existing and have been living in that range. But there's a lot of companies that are sitting in a culturally sort of paralyzed space. And it's very hard to move on from how you know how to do how you've been doing things, as a company, as a person, and so forth. And if that reinvention does not happen, you might not feel it right now, but you as a company or you as a person will lose your relevance and value in the economy that is coming, because the capacity of what you can do with AI is accelerating, which means the delta in value with someone who knows how to use it versus you is going to expand, and that's on a personal level and a corporate level.
Before we move on from sort of the jobs question, what do you think about young folks, though, coming out of university? How do you think this impacts them? Because I just know from personal experience, like, I'm spending all weekend using agents to automate a bunch of the workflows at the firm that typically an analyst would help me with.
Yeah, so I actually think the young people might be in a better spot than the older people in some respects.
Yeah.
I mean, we are seeing kids who are coming out that are truly AI native. Like their whole educational path, especially in the coming years, will have an AI wrapper in the middle of all of it. And you know what? There is this element that's underappreciated when it comes to adopting AI, which I think the emerging set wrestles with less, which is how to think creatively about what can be done. Sometimes there is this limitation in our own minds, which is we can't even conceive of it, so we don't try it. And we don't try it, then it doesn't factor into our systemic view of what can be done. And not exclusive to young people, so just to be clear, but that creativity can exist more in people who've grown up natively with it. But I will say this, what also matters really importantly in AI utility is context. And what younger folks don't have is context. They don't have the seasoning, the experience, the knowledge. And so if you can marry someone else who has like the burn the boat, AI, all in native mentality with a ton of context and experience and wisdom, like that is a great marriage. You like hold on to that with all you got.
Yeah, I was thinking, as I'm doing terminal and cloud code work this weekend, I'm thinking, in another world, I might have wanted a young person that's more savvy with these tools. Like if I hadn't been a developer myself, and I'm not writing a bunch of code, but it's in the terminal, it's a little different, right? And I would think, I bet in another context, had I never been a developer, I would just want a human co-pilot alongside me where I could give them the requirements and they could kind of run all these cycles themselves.
It's kind of funny. They often say like use AI so you can up level to a higher level role, and have AI do kind of your mundane work. I am at a higher level role. So ironically, what I feel myself doing is like the last 2 weekends, I'm actually doing like engineering work, product management work, product design, QA of like the stuff that I'm building. And I think it's comical that I'm doing all this stuff on various things that I'm building, and because it's so easy and it's so fast. And so I think it may work in both directions.
That's so funny. So, as you think about Volition's thesis, where you're going in the future, not just like a sector or stage or check size, but what other axes of investment are interesting to you, whether in the AI context or not? What theses or themes, really jump out as areas that you think are going to enjoy, growth in the coming 5 to 10 years?
I mean, what's interesting is we're at the early innings of another super cycle, and it's so much fun at the beginning because if you think about the transition to .com, cloud, mobile, and now we have.
Could you imagine if Larry was just like all in GameStop, baby? I mean, that's the answer I would have gave.
AI, which might be dwarf all of them. The early innings are where you have very big market opportunities. Let's be clear, like this is bigger right now than the 20th year of the SaaS cycle, right? At the end of the cycle, you're like battling over smaller markets. But it's almost like the world is your oyster. If you look at every single industry and you say, like, they're all going to be transformed by AI. If you look at every single horizontal function in the enterprise, those will be transformed by AI. If you look at every single consumer service and experience, those will be reinvented with AI. And you can almost think about every hardware category and think about, for many of them, there will be an AI layer on top of that. And so what you're looking at is, it's all about durability and market opportunity. I almost ask simpler questions today, which is, will this be an important company in 5 or 10 years? and will it be a durable business to get there? And because everything is in the state of being transformed, and that's what makes so much value creation possible when these types of cycles happen.
So Larry, you've written about these two different investor mindsets. The first that prioritizes the absence of flaws, the second that prioritizes the presence of exceptionality. I think, if you're an investor, you're always trying to do the second, but you may be disqualifying certain opportunities because of the first.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, my first question is, what flaws do you feel like are acceptable, that many might consider disqualifying?
This is a terrible answer. Almost every flaw could be acceptable in the right situation. Perhaps the one unacceptable flaw is a lack of integrity in the founder. But from a business perspective, listen, if you wanted to invest in Uber in the early days, you would have had to accept negative gross margins. Okay, usually that is bad. Negative gross margins might be a flaw that would scare 90% of investors.
Yep.
Well, that would have cut off something like that. I mean, Chewy's gross margins when we invested were 9%. That was almost unacceptable to the world of growth equity when you can invest in 90% gross margin software businesses. We've had businesses where, the flaw might have been that there were lots of failures in this business model in the past, and therefore the capital markets are scared of it. Like, that's an acceptable flaw. There are flaws like geographic.
That sounds like GameStop. It seems like a lot of people are afraid of it for some reason.
Risk and so forth, but it all in business model you're uncomfortable with. That could be another flaw, but those flaws can all be managed, not in a compounding way. You don't want all of these together, but if there's something truly exceptional on the flip side, absent founder integrity.
I see. What do you think are some of the standout qualities of a great investor?
Sorry, standout qualities of a great founder, investor?
Investor, not founder.
Oh,
investor.
yeah. Oh, investor. Oh, okay, gosh. I've thought about this, and I think Peter Thiel said something along these lines, which I very much agree with, which is the capacity to look stupid for a long period of time until hopefully you're right. Like that's the quality of a great investor. If you think about it.
I wonder if I'm a great investor, chat. I've been looking pretty stupid the past couple years, but it's seeming like it's working out slowly but surely, day by day. Maybe I'm a great investor. Nobody wants to admit it.
To have a disproportionate outcome, you probably need two things to be true. You probably need to have an original perspective, because if you don't, then it's a commodity perspective. So you need to see something that others don't see. And by original, that literally means like no one else in the room has your perspective, which is hard to do, or no one else in your market or your asset class. And the other quality is, to pair with originality, is you need to be willing to be contrarian. Meaning, if you told everyone in the room your original perspective, not only would they not have it, they would think it's stupid. And that is the reaction. And then you need to be able to persist in that space until your thesis plays out to be correct. And the reality is most people are not wired that way. And if you're not wired that way as an investor, then what you're going to end up doing is investing in things that are unoriginal, that are non-contrarian, and that is not how you generate disproportionate returns. And the reality is, if you are original and contrarian, a couple things could happen. One is you could be completely wrong, and everyone who thought you were stupid is correct. And that makes it hard to come back and be original contrarian again. Or you could be right. And not to overemphasize something like SpaceX, but if Elon Musk sat in a room of investors 20 years ago and said, listen, I want to colonize Mars, that would have been original and contrarian. If someone said 20 years ago that a primary mode of transportation will be you getting into the vehicle driven by a stranger, that would have been original and contrarian.
Or sleeping in their home.
Or sleeping in their home. And so you need to be able to sit in that space where the world doubts you, if not even mocks you, and persist through it. That's what a good investor can do.
Well, according to Larry Chang, I'm a good investor, chat. So I don't know. Maybe Larry doesn't know what he's talking about. Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And, that also implies like you are going to suffer some zeros and maybe a number of them along the way. Like, how does one keep the contrarian original confidence, as companies are failing left and right and you're saying, well, that's the intent,
Yeah.
like you should have some companies going to zero. The loss ratio should exist.
Well, I think fundamental analysis is super important. Obviously, I don't know what Larry's going to say, but I think if you can understand fundamental analysis and research a company's balance sheet and also understand that the stock market can overvalue and undervalue businesses in certain moments, it's not like a predictable thing, but if you can do fundamental analysis and the numbers say the stock is undervalued, it's probably undervalued, and if the company's actually making money, actually profitable, it's probably not going to zero either. So I think fundamental analysis is super important to picking the right investment, at least in the stock market, real estate and like Pokemon and stuff like that, crypto. A lot tougher of an investment, in my opinion.
In my world of growth equity, which is different than venture, we hate to lose money. I hate to lose money. Venture capital loses money about 70% of the time. In my world of growth equity, it's probably about 20-25% of the time. So it's not to say that you're contrarian, therefore you throw out all risks. But there are risks that I think are more perceived than actual. As an example, I mentioned investors are often scared of companies that have failed predecessor business models. Like in Chewy's case, it was what was the sock puppet company, Pets.com.
Pets.com.
Yeah, so Pets.com was the biggest failure in the dot-com bust, and they had that sock puppet out, and everyone was like, when we reconciled dot-com bust, that was the pinnacle of stupidity. Well, it's 13 years later when we invested in Chewy, and so that would still feel contrarian because you're staring at the failure. But is it really? Like, the world has changed, there are a lot more internet users, et cetera, and so sometimes the hardest risks to get over are actually perceived ones, not like actual fundamental flaws in the business model. So it's not like, in our mentality that we throw risks out the door, but you have to weight them appropriately.
I wonder if that's super relevant to GameStop. Maybe, all the people who think GameStop's going to go bankrupt and it's a trash business, whatever. Maybe they just have like perceived risk from the past instead of, looking at the business for what it actually is and what the actual risks are. I don't know, just
tricky, right? Because I think the deal we made, we've done 55 some odd deals, but the deal we made that I took the most heat for from my peers was a defense tech deal in 2018. And everyone's just like, this is not venture. And now it's become like the hottest company in the portfolio, right. That's scaling the fastest and et cetera. And so sometimes these cycles just have to come around and you kind of have to, deal with the heat until it does.
In all of our, we've all worked at different firms, the partners here, and pretty much without fail, when we look back at the very best investments of our predecessor firms, and you go back to the decision-making at the time of that investment, those were the most controversial deals that turned out to be the best. In my early days in the business, when I was at Battery Ventures, Akamai Technologies became the biggest venture-backed hit of that era. And that's located here in Cambridge, which is a content delivery network. And that was a deal that 3 or 4 partners passed on internally at Battery, and like the 4th or 5th one actually did the deal. And these types of stories abound. And what you realize is your investment decision-making process, it absolutely has to account for dissension in the investment team decision-making. Otherwise, you're going to regress to the mean, or people won't say what they really think. So you have to manage the cultural dynamics about that.
I mean, does that suggest that democratic decision-making on investment committees is not something you would advise?
I wouldn't advise unanimous decision-making. I wouldn't even necessarily advise majority decision-making. There's sort of the champions model and the consensus model, and there's been a lot of studying about this. What consensus-driven decision-making does in investment committee is it first of all, it actually doesn't open up conversation. It limits it. Like people don't want to block your deal because you might block their deal, this type of thing. And so it becomes very political. And what the unanimous, what the champions business decision-making model does is, yes, there are risks. And yes, your investment committee will point them out. But the champion may see the exceptionality and take into account of the risks. But the exceptionality might ultimately carry the day. But again, if you're in this majority decision-making model or unanimous, then you could just focus on all the risks till the cows come home, and you may miss on some of the best ones. And that's what we have seen in some of the both MIT and HBS research on the topic.
What risks do you love leaning into, and which ones do you not like taking?
I like what I call perceived risks. I love, and we talked about this earlier, but listen, I would love for a business model that's perfect, like high margins, high recurrence, very diversified customer base, tons of upsell, great value. I love all of that. But you may not get all of that. But
wait, did he just talk about GameStop right there?
where I feel like I have a bit of a DNA advantage is just when there's a perceived risk that everyone thinks like that's not possible, or that's stupid, or that's failed before, or that's an uninteresting sector, or that's not the type of customer we'd want. Like that's where I feel comfortable. Like a good business, a good fundamental business with some perceived flaw around it is a beautiful thing in my mind.
GameStop.
What would you say is your competitive advantage at Volition?
It is sitting in this area of willing to do deals that others might not. The growth equity industry as a whole is pretty homogeneous in its thinking. It's why the industry has centered around software for so long. Most growth equity firms, a majority of them are pure play software, and with good reason, which is the software business model is phenomenal and has been phenomenal. You have high recurrence, you're paid up front, you have super high margins, you're mission critical. That's a beautiful thing. But I've leaned more towards transactional internet businesses, more mass market, more consumer. And in that space, you have to think a little bit differently. And sitting in the discomfort of thinking differently than others, sitting in the discomfort of not having consensus, sitting in that area of perhaps even people thinking this deal is stupid or whatever, like that's my comfort zone. Where I get quite honestly nervous is when everyone loves it. The only thing that means to me is that we have missed something in due diligence, because these are all young companies, and there have to be some flaws around it.
So does that suggest you're doing investments in atoms as well as bits, as they say?
Tell me more what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, like hard businesses, physical AI, robotics, not just AI software. We have a mix of hardware and software. But what's interestingly is I've spent most of my time in sort of scalable internet business models where no one thought the website was the barrier to entry. So the idea that you would have a barrier to entry that is not in the technology platform itself is kind of a world that I've lived in. Like, so we're used to network effects being a barrier to entry. We're used to data moats being a barrier, distribution partners, brand, community, et cetera. Like those can all be barriers, and they have been for some of the internet businesses we've invested in. And now those are elements that you'd want to see in a software business as well. And so I think it's almost like the worlds are merging in some respects. Maybe a few wrap-up questions here. Larry, you've sat on a number of boards, both public and private. If you were giving advice to a founder on structuring the board, effectively managing a board, how would you distill that down from your experience?
That's a great question. I think you want to have a range of opinions, a range of expertise in a narrow box. So I think boards become less effective the bigger they get. And so, in the private company world, you want to stay under like even 5, it becomes the larger size, but 7 is large. In the public company world, it can expand well beyond that. And then it becomes a bureaucracy, not an actual governing active governing body. And so, and I think you want a range of perspective within that. But probably most importantly is that body needs to be able to speak truth into the leadership of the team, and it can't just be it can't be a passive sort of rubber stamp type of body. That you need to be able to have people who will tell you as the CEO, I disagree with you. I think this is your blind spot. And good CEOs should actually do the inverse, which is ask the question of the board, like, what am I missing? Where are my blind spots? And so you want that in your board. And then perhaps most importantly is you want your board to be owners and operate as owners. Like there's a lot of boards that are set up these days where they're just not aligned with their shareholders. And they never purchase the stock of the company that they're on the board of. They're granted stock, but they don't purchase it. On all the boards that I'm involved with as in the private world, like we've invested in the company. That's the only reason I'm on the board is because we are owners. But you get into other areas where the board are not owners of the business in the truest sense, and that's a misalignment in my view as well.
Larry, if we could feature anyone here on the show, who do you think we should interview, and what would you like to hear them speak about?
Better interview Ryan motherfucking Cohen, baby.
It almost goes back to who would you want to have lunch with, and I sorry if this is a commodity answer, but I would love to hear from Warren Buffett or Elon Musk. Like that crew would be certainly quite interesting.
Warren Buffett would be cool. I'll give him that.
In the world of business and investments, they're like truly exceptional talents at what they do. So if lunch with either of those goes up for auction on eBay, let me know.
Larry, give me and the audience one book, article, or video that you would recommend.
Oh boy, one book, article, or video. The Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is a classic, and I always pay attention to classics that still are on the bestseller list, 50 years after they were written. And that book is about, it's well titled, I guess, because it's self-explanatory, but there are some classic principles in that I still apply today, and it's not a hard read, so I recommend that book.
Larry, do you have any habits or behaviors that are a secret weapon?
Maybe it's the meta habit or the meta layer, which is, I think the superpower that is above all other superpowers is consistency. And it's very
Oh, he said it. He said it.
hard to maximize any superpower if you're not consistent with it. So over time, I've sort of appreciated the compounding benefit of doing even something small consistently right. Like if you even read 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, like that will compound over time. If you eat healthier in a slightly different way and you do that consistently, that will compound over time. And so, but if you're inconsistent, it kind of doesn't matter how talented you are. That's going to get in your way. And so I think consistency is the superpower that I hope to have, and I think is the enabler of everything else.
And then
I agree, man. I think that's my biggest flaw is I'm not I can be consistent, but it gets to a certain point where I stop being consistent. So I agree with him.
Finally here, Larry, what's the best way for listeners to connect with you and follow along with Volition?
I'm on X at LarryVC, and then I'm also on LinkedIn at just my name, Larry Cheng, Cheng. And obviously the Volition website's volitioncapital.com.
All right. He is Larry Cheng, and the firm is Volition Capital. Larry, thanks so much for the time today. This was great.
Thanks so much, Nick. Take care.
That was great. I enjoyed that interview. Shout out to Larry. Shout out to KCR. Thanks for bringing that in here. Oh, Power Ranger. Thanks for joining the membership, Power Ranger. And Deja Vu. Deja Vooper. Appreciate you joining the membership. And it says spare some change because that's the name of like the, I don't know what you would call it. Like all the membership things, they have a different little level thing. So you're like, all money is donated. That's the one. Power Ranger did on 99 cents. You did the $2 one. Spare some change, sir. And then supports the $3 one. The supporter one's $4. Strong supporters $5. And then boss is 10. Membership tiers. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what it's called. Going to bed. It's late in Europe. Greetings. Hey, have a good night, KCR. Appreciate you bringing that interview. Really appreciate it. Now I have something to actually post today, because I didn't really have anything to post. So that's hype. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, and hope you're doing good, KCR. Hope you're doing good. Oh, Moose left. Isaiah, what's up, Isaiah? I should be announced number 3 now. Wait, what? What you talking about, Willis? How did eBay do today? 150. Oh, eBay popped after hours. What's going on there? Is there any news on eBay, chat? Decent pop after hours. Went from 113 to 115. So there's got to be something. Let's see. No, doesn't look like any SEC filings or anything. Let's see. No upcoming events. Yeah, there's no news or anything like that. I don't know why eBay's up so much after hours. Maybe Ryan's buying. Buying Ryan, you know? Buying Ryan. I don't know. Let's take a peek at an actual chart. Let's see what's going on. RCH, what's up, RCH? I don't think I missed any other messages. Battle Rat. Oh yeah, Surfer Guy has been in here before. What if I only want to come in to hear you read the Bible? He did that. He did that. I think that's funny. I think that's hilarious, bro. I can't believe he got his wife to come in to tell me to frickin' start reading the Bible. She makes some good food too. She makes some fire food. I'm looking at her YouTube channel. Good lord. She whips up some gas. And they're like all healthy meals too. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. I love that. All right. Is there anything else to talk about, chat? I don't know if I think we've pretty much covered most of the stuff today. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. There's no news there. I guess we can check Reddit. There was a couple Ryan Cohen posts over the weekend on Twitter. Why would you buy $40 calls? insane. Like, do you really think the stock's gonna go up because of the annual meeting? I don't. But I don't know. What is this? This has got to be some fucking nonsense, right? There's no way that's real. Where were those, let's see. There was a Ryan Cohen post where potentially he was with Bread Icon's wife or something like that. Where is it? This one. He posted this blonde girl. And if you go into the comments, a bunch of people are saying that's Bread Icon's wife or something like that. Bread Icon's wife, Aaron Icon. So I don't know. I don't know the relevance of that, but that's one of those hats on eBay that went for like 15 grand or whatever. Larry Chang post. Interesting to think about what impacts one's life the most. Parents you are born with, country you are born in, the historical era you are born in. Oh yeah, and then there was this post. This guy's going to the military or something, or he came back. I don't know. And then, I guess Michael Slurry, Paper-Handed Burry, wrote another GameStop article, maybe. Let's see if it's locked. It's probably locked because he's a little bro, and I don't know, like who buys or Michael's fucking Substack at this point? This guy has no clue what he's fucking talking about. Like, actually, I don't know why anyone would follow this dude. I don't even see the article, but they're all locked anyway, so who gives a shit? I think that's it. I think that's that. Let's see. Oh, maybe eBay's not up? How come on Yahoo it said eBay was at like 115? What the heck? What's going on with that? Why is either Yahoo's tripping or Thinkorswim's tripping? Okay, Yahoo's tripping. That's why you always got to double check, because I feel like the pricing on Yahoo is generally not correct. Any result predictions on the outcomes for tomorrow's shareholder meeting? I think everything will pass. The only thing that potentially won't pass is the share, being able to increase the share float to 2.5 billion. That's the only thing that potentially won't pass, but I feel like that'll pass, and it better pass, honestly. Like, anyone who doesn't vote for that isn't, like, that's just insane. Like, why wouldn't you vote for that? Like, sure, your voting power is going to get diluted, but if GameStop offers those shares at the correct time, the value increase of your shares is going to outweigh the ownership decrease. So it's like, hopefully everyone votes for that. I think it would be dumb if it didn't pass. Especially, after seeing what GameStop did in 2024. When the stock went to $80. They crushed that. So that's the only thing that is potentially worrying, is that doesn't get voted in, but it should. And yeah, Other than that, I don't really know. I don't think they'll talk about anything important or anything like that. We'll see though. That's why it's funny seeing all these people buying options for the meeting, and you just like when you start seeing people promoting options and doing option trades, you just like should automatically know that the stock isn't going to move. Like most people have no clue what they're doing. So in general, I don't think the stock's going to move at all. If anything, it'll probably go down. But I don't think the annual meeting will have any effect on the stock. So I don't know why people are betting on options prior to the meeting. It makes literally no sense. You're just going to get wrecked. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And also, you'll notice all the people who trade options on GameStop, they have no shares in their account because most of the people who post about GameStop aren't real shareholders. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't see the market benefiting those people. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was. And whatever. Must not have been very important. Dow's hit all-time highs like every day for the past 2 weeks. Crazy. Apple's about to hit another all-time high. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Whoops. So yeah. I'm taking it there's no news or anything like that. Oh, a 144 dropped. What's that? It's probably just mark selling. Yep. Mark selling. Okay. Well, not very exciting. So I guess we're out of here, and I don't think there's anything else to talk about, but appreciate everyone, all the people who consistently support the stream. I really appreciate it. If there's any new people out there, thanks for giving the stream another chance, and hopefully we see you again. But shout out all my OGs. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you had a good weekend. I'll try to wake up early enough for the annual meeting so we can stream the annual meeting, but no promises because it starts pretty early. It starts pretty early, but I'll try to get up and get on stream for that. We'll see, but yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Have a good one, Power Ranger. Have a good one, man. Thank you again for joining the membership, and Deja Vu, appreciate you rejoining the membership. Zone Best Deal hooked it up with $5. Shout out to Zone Best Deal. And Raw Sunshine Living also donated $5. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for joining the memberships. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for hopefully I'll be up before the annual meeting starts so we can actually stream the annual meeting. But if not, I'll be on stream to cover it after. So no matter what, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Later, Deja Vu. Bubbles. Much love, Bubbles. Have a good one, man. Appreciate you, Deja Vu. Thanks for joining up the membership. And you joined the second tier of the membership. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm out. You guys have a good rest of your day. God bless ya. Peace.